Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Solly here. You're going to be hearing a conversation here shortly with Neil and TC. This was recorded. Gosh, we've been sitting on this one for a long, long time. They made a trip out to New Zealand to play Tara Iti, to play Te Arai back in March, I believe it was. And they came back and just downloaded all of their thoughts from the trip. We've been saving this one for kind of for the fall, kind of for the end of the summertime time period down here in Australia, New Zealand. We'll have some more Australia content coming out in the weeks that are coming as well. Want to give a shout out to our friends, of course, at Rhoback. Fall golf is here. They are our go-to for polos, hoodies, joggers, pants, all of it. Best fit, best feel. Simple as that. The Rhoback Delta pants are our favorite pants, especially as the temperature gets a little bit cooler. They got a stretch elastic waistband. It's a game changer. Gives you that extra room for added comfort, maintaining the best fit possible. Fabric is smooth, wrinkle resistant. Take it out of your suitcase. It is ready to wear. That is super clutch when you travel. Second one, the Rhoback Fulton vest. I've got one on right now. I wear this thing anytime I get the opportunity to. It's awesome. It's got nice light insulation to keep you warm, but it's not too bulky. It's great to swing in. It's got interior and exterior pockets. It's just a great layering piece as we hit the course. And you already know about the Rhoback Hezi hoodie. Wear one almost every single day. They're so dang soft. There's just no better feeling than wearing a Rhoback hoodie fresh out of the package. As we get into fall, go to rhoback.com, RHOBACK.com. Use code NLU at checkout for 20% off your first order through the end of the week. Pants, hoodies, vests, whatever. Rhoback has you covered. Rhoback.com, code NLU. Here is Neil and TC.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. This is TC, and I'm joined for a special one today, a fun one, an offbeat one by my brother, my colleague, Mr. Neil Schuster. Sir, how are you?
TC, always good being with you on a Friday. You know, I'm feeling it, man. I was little Pete just walked back in the door from the park. Nice day. Got a 5:45 a.m. round out at La Tourette on Staten Island. We are not talking about Staten Island. We'll be talking about another island, a far, far away island on today's episode. But I made double on 18 to shoot 74 today. Just kind of, standard stuff. So. But played good.
What was it? A self-inflicted wound, or
no? I kind of hit a drive up the right, and it's a tree-lined course. One of I'd say in the top 2 or 3 of the public courses in New York. And I put a Met golf tournament out there like a couple weeks ago. I don't know when this is coming out, but it's May 30th right now, and I just hit it like kind of under a dead tree, and I had like 140 in, and I was like, oh, no problem clearing these overhanging branches. I just hit this branch like so square, and it went like 30 yards right into like the deep trees. And it was like, oh boy, like, and I made like an honest double, but I'm standing. It's like, God, I didn't see that coming. Just a white squall double to finish it off. Played great the rest of the day. So, but got around 3.5 hours. I played with the Bogey Boys. Shout out to Evan, Mike, Cal. Normally Jerry's involved, but when one of them can't
Jerry's in France. He texted me this morning.
He is in France. So he was bummed. He saw those guys. They got their chat. They're very exclusive, these bad golfers. They only call me up when they absolutely need a fourth. They're like, no, you're too good. I'm like, I don't care. We played in 3.5 hours. As long as you guys play fast, I don't give a shit what you shoot.
You should start playing left-handed.
Evan had 2 birdies today. Evan never has birdies. I think he shot like 94 or something. He had this stupid hitch where he was like throwing his club face open with his wrist at the beginning of it. And I was like, stop doing that. Just stop it. You need help. And we fixed it. So it's good morning. I'm tired though, but let's dive in. Sorry to
no, all good. Well, first of all, I didn't even know they did 5:45 tee times in the United States, at least. That's wild. Also, you're kind of bearing the lead. You had a pretty good round yesterday, huh?
I did. I shot 69 yesterday.
Okay. I'm sure we'll talk about that
people probably hear about that before this comes out, but just a pretty ho-hum one too. Couple bogeys, 5 birdies at Meadowbrook, which is like a big boy golf course, a place I've wanted to see for a long time. Met Golf Association had like their partner summit. They asked me to speak on a panel with Rich Lerner. Raj was supposed to be there, but he couldn't make it. I think he's in like London or something. And then this woman, Selena, who's a Peloton instructor and does like golf mobility courses. And I think like tread and strength courses on Peloton. I'm sure people would recognize her. And Rich is such a pro. I mean, it was I was truly a highlight because I've spent a little bit of time with him. I met him at Pebble a couple years ago, but we had breakfast together, and he started laughing because they came to get us for this panel, and he was like, "Man, we should just been rolling mics. We were covering a lot of ground. We were talking about problems with public golf in New York. We're talking about Rory. Like, he's awesome, man. I don't think Rich gets enough love. He's
Yeah.
like, I think he is he reminds me of Ernie Johnson on TNT. Like, for me, I think he is the unspoken hero of Live From and keeps it on the rails. And talked a ton of Live From and how that show's doing. So it was awesome hanging out with him. I haven't really spent a
True
ton
pro.
of time with him, and he's a total pro.
Where's Meadowbrook?
Meadowbrook is right off, same exit you would get off to go to the creek or Piping Rock, and it's kind of like this triangle. Meadowbrook's right off the highway, and it's really cool. Long Island, you're not used to seeing a property that has a bunch of space, and this is a big ballpark. They could 1,000% host a pro event there. The assistant pro, Pate, was caddying for us, and he said, I think they may have looked at taking the Barclays there long ago.
Yeah.
Then it was the Northern Trust, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if the membership doesn't, small membership, maybe 300 or 400, but it's more like the MGA does events out there every few years, like Players Club. Big, they can stretch it out to like 75, 7,600. We played the red tees, which are like the third tees back. And it says on the card that they're 66 or maybe 6,800. I put it in as the combos because I felt like they were up. So I think we were playing around 6,400, but I'll take 69 real deal greens. I just know. And the thing I'm most proud of, TC, is no three putts, no doubles, no lost balls. DJ and I always say that's the perfect game. You could shoot 90 and do that. And I didn't. I shot 69, but I've never done all three of those things in the same round.
You've never done all three of those things in the same round?
No, I've never done that.
That's wild.
I've done 2 of 3. I've done, 1 of 3, but that's the first time since I've been tracking that like stack because I'm always on the lookout for it. And I want to shout out John Sherman, my guy, practical golfer, who we did a video with. He was at the summit and we played together. So comfy pairing.
There you go.
Yeah, and he was like, whoa, I'm like, I'm doing it, man. And we didn't really talk about it. And I made a birdie we started on 2. So my last hole was number 1, it was a par 5. And I was kind of, bouncing off the guardrails a little bit coming down the stretch I made a really good par save on 18, which is a par 5. And then I made birdie from like after a snappy drive into the rough and then another snappy second shot. I hit a really good wedge, like 5 feet. And I just made this downhill slider. And I turned to him. I was like, guys, that's a career like best. Now, I didn't hit all the cups. It's kind of like a part, like a shotgun. Don't want to take it too serious. But there was no impropriety. I think I scooped 3 putts that were all of them not even close to more than 2 feet. You know what I mean? Like nothing. I made a ton of 4 and 5 footers. As we got into the round, I started to finish everything. So I feel very good, sleeping well. I wish I would have hit all the cups, but I didn't. But I don't feel like there was any type of Irish dropping or no max doubles or anything like that. So feeling really good.
Well, good. Well, I've seen some online appointments with John on your calendar lately.
That's a different John. That's a different John.
Okay.
Yes, and you're right. I told the other John Sherman about this. I had I think Jonathan Schramm is his name. He reached out to me about a month ago.
I thought it was Sherman, like with no vowels.
No,
like one of the hats.
And this is kind of big news. He's getting his PhD in sports psychology, and he's like kind of looking for some reps, I think. So he's kind of like, I'd like to do some mental coaching. It's kind of sweet, man. We just met like twice for an hour. I met after the Met. I was like, all right, well, let's use it for these Met golf things I'm playing in.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things we were talking about is I don't know, God, we're going to talk about golf in New Zealand, but I'll tell you this because it's news of the day, I guess. I'm a pretty pragmatic thinker. You know how, we run this business. I don't, what we kind of settled on was like, I have a tough time believing any kind of bullshit. I feel like I got a decent bullshit meter, and I'm really bad at bullshitting myself. So like I shot 75 in this Pub Links qualifier. I missed the cut to be in the top 7 by 2 strokes. I was like T11, but I was like 75, no doubles, rainy day. We filmed it. That'll come out here soon. felt pretty good about that. Like,
Mhm.
I've got to be honest. And he was like, man, that's probably the difference between you and a lot of these guys that play like pro or high level golf is that they bullshit themselves. Like from a golf standpoint, sometimes like they're
Like
like,
they don't allow themselves to settle. Like
yes,
they're
and I do. I was explaining to him like I made an eagle on the 8th hole, and if I'm being honest, my mindset there was I made the putt, but it's like I was already probably saying to myself like, yeah, even if you two putt this, it's still like we're still ahead.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Don't bargain with yourself.
I bargain, and I'm almost like too honest. He's like, you need to maybe just for yourself, figure out how you can like believe your own bullshit a little bit. And I think yesterday when I shot 69, I kind of did. Like I putted the lights out. I was making everything. And I didn't let myself slip into that thought of like, you're going to regress. You do
Yeah.
not like sometimes or the other
Totally.
thing.
Well, that's the thing. Like you can almost trick yourself. I don't even think it's tricking yourself. Past returns don't necessarily indicate future results. And I
Yeah.
think on a certain level, if you're just taking it a shot at a time or whatever, like you can raise your floor, right? By just focusing on small stuff and that sort of thing. And just I think there's a difference between having expectations and having like optimism,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
I think you're very
And
good at this. You have a knack for like riding a hot hand because I do. I'm a bit of a historical thinker of like, well, the data would not
yeah.
even the data, like history would tell me that this is not normal. But like yesterday when I was vibing, I realized another thing I was telling my mental coach, if I could call it that, it was
You got a whole
uh
team now.
like hey man, I'll take the help. I love it. I was saying I can't remember. I was actually thinking about it. I don't on par threes. I can't remember the last time I was like, I'm taking dead aim. Even on like shots from like 110 to 130 where I don't allow myself to just see the flag a lot and be like, yo, just make it. In like a not in
Yeah.
a and there's
True.
like a nuance to it, not like I'm gonna make this, so then you're disappointed, but
Don't
more like, hey, why don't we
don't be
try
like,
to like dunk
hey,
this one?
I'm gonna cheat it 3 feet
Yes, I
left
do that all the time.
and miss on that side. And it's like there are some shots where there's not trouble on either side, and it's just try to make it.
It's
Just
a
try to
bit
hit
like,
it
yo,
right at
just
it.
try to hit the bullseye here. And
Yeah.
I did that. I had 3 birdies in a row, and I did that on 2 of them with wedge. I had like hit great drives,
Yeah.
and I just had these kind of like 118 is a number I love. I was like, dude, this is it. Like, just try to just try to make this one. And I hit it like 4 feet. It was like, huh, that's kind of
Aim
like,
small, miss small,
I
right?
know. I don't do that specific thing,
Yeah.
like visualize, just like see the flag, this number, you're good enough to just like drop this on the stick. It's so crazy how little I do that in golf. And I think that even talking through that with somebody has already
Yeah.
helped. And I don't want to say like, oh my God, like we're never looking back, but it was just really
Well,
fun to like see
I
that
talked to
happen.
Nico Darris about that a lot. Like being able to do that, but with nuance too, of like,
Mhm.
not getting carried away and not having to go, do that with 18 times around. It's like, all right, you're gonna have like 4 of these around sometimes, and just take advantage of them, right? And know where those are, or don't get reckless,
They were the
But
green light moments. It wasn't
yeah,
like, hey,
yeah,
175 coming around a tree. It's
yeah,
like, no, dude, it's a gap wedge from 118. You
mhm,
should like be pinning your ears back. And I
yeah,
still hit those shots as you saw in New Zealand. I'm way too defensive when I should be playing offense. So anyway, let's get to the point of today's podcast. Our trip down to New Zealand.
yeah. You're gonna set it up a little bit. We got talk to a buddy of ours. I don't know. I'll keep him anonymous just because I don't want to blow up his spot. But good buddy of ours reached out. I think probably early to mid March. Was like, hey, I'm gonna go down to New Zealand. Looking for a couple compadres to go down with. We're gonna do this little Aussie versus US kind of Ryder Cup match, 4-on-4. And I said, I'm there, brother. And I think I can get Neil there too. So we made it happen.
Well, let me pick it up right there because that's
Yeah,
important. It was probably a month, maybe 5 weeks advance notice. Busy, busy spring. Yeah, TC hits me up and I'm like, yeah, I mean, God, that's a tough ask, and I mean, by the time this pod is coming out, I got another kid on the way. We just found out about that. I was like, damn, I'm going to have to talk to Carson about that. And before I could, TC pulled the ultimate outflanking. He called Carson directly, called my wife directly, and was like, I got this trip. It's like really good opportunity. Neil never says yes to stuff, which is, somewhat true. And so then Carson texted me. She's like, you should go to New Zealand. And the timing did work. We were going home to Atlanta for Easter. So we flew from Atlanta and it was kind of adding on to a trip. And like, welcome to the twisted mind of TC. It's like, yeah, man, we can make this work. And let's just go to the other side of the world.
Again, living with optimism instead of.
But now I do think, TC, sometimes I get a little bit like, hey, TC, we can't go everywhere every week. I think you corrupted me. You knew that if you had done this without me, I would have been like, yo, man, it's busy season. What are you doing? But instead, you just kind of corrupted me.
No, I think late April, we always, that's always been kind of a travel window for us. Postmasters.
That's fair. Yeah.
Everything getting crazy in May again and lead up to, a bunch of signature events and PGA and US Open and all that. And yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those things kind of ended the season down there. But yeah, I was like, Carson, I'm calling you both as Neil's colleague, because I know you've been working hard on all of you do all of our business stuff, right? And
I don't like to leave the shop unmanned. I don't like it when the register has nobody manning it.
Yeah, and so I'm like, all right, I can tell he's kind of burned the candle at both ends, trying to get that stuff sorted, and then just as a fun trip as brothers too. So,
it was great, and I appreciate it. Now I want to pause because I got a message like this doesn't normally sting, but this was a personal trip. This was kind of out of our pockets, and we cashed in some miles. I've got getting into the airline miles game with TC, coaching you up to get a lay flat and work the system was a pleasure. But I got to know, we talked a little bit about this trip on a pod, I think after maybe Byron Nelson, kind of an off week, because Solly had been in Belfast and we were talking about our trip, and I got a note from a guy, and he was kind of like, I think he started off with I don't want to be a dick, but it's unbearable to listen to you talk about going to all these unbelievable places, and I'm never going to be able to go. And I was like, I hate that vibe, and I don't want this pod to sound like that, but I disagree with that, because yes, Tara Iti itself, the main course we're going to talk about, that is very, very exclusive and private. And you're going to have to, but it is possible to play if I think it's a worthy goal. But the other two, Te Arai North and Te Arai South, you can go play these courses, and you should. And I was actually surprised by how manageable the travel was from the West Coast.
Dude, people go from San Francisco or LA. They go for the weekend.
Yeah, and we didn't do anything but play golf on this trip. I think we played 170 something holes of golf. But I could see a trip going back with Carson at some point and exploring the North Island of New Zealand and stopping at Te Arai North and South for a night. You could play one course one day, one course the next, and then be on your way. So I don't, and also I got 5 other messages from listeners in Australia. So I just kind of
who were positive,
it's awesome that you guys are covering this golf. You went on the podcast and with a guy in New Zealand.
Charlie Mercer from Yardage Book NZ. That was a pleasure. Go subscribe to that.
I just think I know sometimes I take that kind of feedback a little personal, where it's like, man, I don't want this to sound like, look how cool our life is, because we personally invested in this trip. This was not a company trip. And I can tell you that all in, it's in the, the flights and stuff were probably they were under 2K with all the, even the lay flat stuff. If you start cashing the points correctly, it's very doable. And if you're going to go down there to see New Zealand, which I've always wanted to see, and I almost feel like I didn't go to New Zealand. I went to,
it was my second time. And I feel like I haven't been to New Zealand. I've been to Tara Iti and Te Arai.
But it's it's far, but it's almost not as far as you think in a weird way. I wanted to get that thing off my chest, because that's not what this is about. I think that Tara Iti is a very influential golf course in modern golf architecture. I think it's worth discussing, and then talking about the 2 other courses that are publicly accessible and very good. And I'm glad we got to see them. So anyway, I'll stop there.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. I think it's, you've got a Core Crenshaw over at Te Arai, you've got a Doak over at Te Arai, and then you've got the Doak at at Tara Iti. So you've got, you know, arguably two of the top three architects in the game right now who, you know, are basically, you know, building stuff on some of the most spectacular golf land in the world. So,
Yes.
you know, I think it's important for perspective. It's important for like knowing what's possible, you know, as far as architecture goes and stuff. Like I've learned more about architecture playing Tara Iti than I have just about anywhere else. Like I mean, it's on par with Sand Hills it's like Doak's version of Sand Hills for Core Crenshaw. And Sand Hills ushered in Bandon Dunes and, you know, all these other places that weren't really thought possible or viable prior. So, and yeah, like a big portion of our listenership is in Australia and New Zealand as well. So it's not, you know, and on the West Coast. But yeah, like it's great. Like on the flight over, you get in, you lose a whole day. You know, like we flew from San Francisco on the way there, and you know, it's what, like 15 hours from San Francisco.
It was 14 from San Francisco, and we flew on Tuesday and got there on Thursday morning. And it was very
Yeah.
cool coming into Auckland. I didn't realize how big Auckland was. It's a large,
proper city.
city, and just I also didn't realize how many islands there would be surrounding it and kind of in the vicinity of the center of town. And you kind of fly over it, and we did a big loop, like flying west, then you loop back and you land coming back east, and it's like perfect morning light, and it's so green and hilly. It's just really easy on the eyes flying into New Zealand. Very cool.
Yeah. So you fly, you know, so you lose a day on the way there, but basically, you know, like the time change isn't that different overall. Like I don't think it's not crazy to get back on schedule. And then, you know, we drove hour and a half, hour 45 minutes northward. You could take a helicopter if you're so inclined.
We did not, but yeah, it was an easy drive. Like you're
Yeah,
kind of on the main
I like the
highway,
drive.
and then you get off into these kind of pastoral lands.
Yeah. And so we got there, we were a little bit delayed coming in, and we ended up playing 18 holes. Like this is kind of the tail end of the season. This would be their version of early to mid-November, late April, I guess, even, you know, kind of in the lead up to like what our Thanksgiving would be in the Northern Hemisphere. So, you know, very much like kind of end of the season. This is still pretty tropical that far north though. Like you're, you know, very, very northward on the North Island. So, you know, still kind of, and it's pretty, you know, just great conditions year round, I think. Weather just gets a little bit more unsettled in the spring and the fall. So they had a little bit of rain in the lead up, but we got kind of all conditions. It was similar to like that first trip we ever took to Bandon, you know, where we just got like, you know, there's rain dancing around, you got some sunny days, you know, so it was different from the first time I'd been down.
I've ever been anywhere where the radar is as schizophrenic when you're looking at because the Te Arai resort, those two courses are probably 10 miles up the road, maybe less, 5
Just
miles.
that, yeah. It's just kind of around that headland.
I mean, we got so lucky because we were almost dodging it. Like when we were up there, you could look down the coast and be like, "Oh my God, they're getting dumped on it, Tara Iti," and then vice versa. But it would change, and I love it when you gotta, you know, get ready for the backpacking. Like you gotta have everything in the bag, and you know the rain gear is coming on and off all day, and the fact that it was late season, it wasn't hot, so you could the hack is you just rock like rain pants with boxers underneath, you know, or long johns if it's cold. It just keeps you so versatile where you're like, yeah, I'm good if it's not raining. I'm just going to wear these rain pants. I'm committed to them. And I was basically living in those. So that was great.
Yes, we played that first, just to kind of set the stage. We played that first day. Overall, we played 2 rounds apiece on north and south. On south, like we played kind of some team games and stuff. We played a scramble on north, a 2-man scramble,
which was very fun. Highly
north.
Recommend for a buddy's golf trip. Like if you're playing a 36-hole day in the middle of the trip, the 2-man scramble was so much fun for comp. If you're playing it seriously for competition, like, oh God, it was awesome. I was like, I kind of expected to hate it because I was thinking normal 4-man scramble, I'm not going to hit enough shots. And I did not feel that way.
We had all manner of handicaps on the trip. I mean, we had, 1 through 20. So, worked well for that. And then we played We played 5 or 6 rounds at Tara Iti. So we got to really dig in. We got to
6.
do, we got to do a, full on play your own ball. We had to play all the tees. We got to do, we played some sort of best ball or some sort of scramble one of the days on the 9-hole loop too. It was, I don't know, it was a great, lot of variety going on.
Yes.
So what were your expectations going in, Neil?
I mean, they were high. All I've seen is kind of imagery. I mean, honestly, the tourist saw season 1, Solly's experience there. I really haven't seen much other video footage of it. That course kind of turns me around. Like, I've seen these unbelievable shots of the 7th hole, but I had no context for how is that oriented, and so the course has always just been photographically stunning, but I never knew much about it. And I would say it is an awesome routing. It's an awesome golf course. It's a strategic golf course. It's, and it happens to be on the water. And I feel like the best comparison I've had, and I have to go to courses that I've played, is Ballyneal in eastern Colorado. And I really like that course, and that's a Tom Doak course as well. And I think this is a better version of that. And it's just hard to beat. I mean, there's this spooky islands about 25 miles off the coast. And you can tell that Doak was very thoughtful about how he routed and framed some of his greens to match up and fit with the view of the island right behind the hole. And it just feels like it was a very thoughtfully designed course, which we'll get to. I don't feel that way about all of Tom Doak's work, but it was stunning. And the dune stuff, I probably expect it to be a little bit more rugged. Maybe the course sits down pretty close to the water, from an elevation standpoint. So it doesn't rock your socks like the dunes would in Ireland. It's a little bit more subtle than that, but the vastness of the coastline and these islands off in the distance is really unique. And then I would say one other thing, that all the imagery I've seen of Tara Iti before going there's this really unique hue to the native. It has this grayish, not quite golden, but grayish look to it. And I was like, is that filtering? I always thought man, everybody's just juicing their photography the exact same way of this. That can't be real. And it is. It's this weird hue that I've never seen anywhere else in the world. This weird, grayish color, sepia tone, but it's real. It's you're there and oh my God, that's exactly what the picture looks like. And so that's just, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what listeners will do with that, but when you see a picture of Tara Iti, you're man, that native looks very, very unique. It truly is. Nobody's messing with that picture. So I was happy to see that.
We'll flash some pictures up throughout this too. But yeah, I think my biggest thing, having been there kind of height of season, early March time frame versus late April, it was very much I think seeing it in these different lights was really interesting. Seeing with clouds, we got a bunch of wind right off the ocean, which normally the prevailing tends to be coming from the other direction. So, it's playing really hard, the whole number 6 or 14 coming in. But to your point on the, a whole like number 9, where you get the little peek through the dunes at the islands in the distance, and it's just the perfect framing there. Or
well, I'll tell you, the whole
same thing on 14.
It's my favorite hole. Weird, maybe kind of weirdly, because I think 7, you'll probably talk about 7, one of the best short par 4s in the world, and I would agree with that. God, that hole gave me all kinds of nightmares. Number 5 is a par 5. It kind of comes back towards the clubhouse and towards the water, and I just think it's the most handsome hole on the course. It's this really inviting tee shot, and again, you're mixing up the tees, so these bunkers. There's a really not fun bunker all down the right, just waist area, kind of all down the right side of the hole, and then there's some kind of if you take it too far left, but very generous landing area. and it's right, depending on the weather, it's kind of right on the edge of getting home every time we played it, which is awesome because what you probably should do is lay up to a very generous layup area, and then this green's like
way left.
way left, and then hit like 100-yard shot in to a green that's really, really wide and pretty narrow front to back with like a devastating pot bunker, and then like this, milk carton waste bunker on the right. But it just goads you into trying to hit that green. And the whole, based on, they can pin it like 10,000. It's a huge green, so they can pin it everywhere. And you got like a big, I don't know, catch. What would you call it? Like a hill on the right, so you can play it off of that. And it just kind of fires up my imagination without being like,
it's not
not
gimmicky.
too done up. There's 2 or 3 big features on a really long hole. And then, but the cherry on top for me is as you walk towards the green, like if you're going to hit that layup shot, that these islands I'm talking about in the distance are framed like perfectly. It's like a hammock laying between 2 dunes. So you come around the dune on the right, and the green will sit perfectly. Like it almost looks like a painting, with the 2 dunes being the frame. It takes what used to be like this whole panoramic of the ocean, and it just puts it like, nope, now we're just going to look directly with this island centered behind the green. I just thought it was like, that has to be intentional. It's just like perfectly done. And the way the green sits in between these 2 dunes, I probably took like 50 pictures of this hole. So I'll make sure they're in, if you're watching this on YouTube.
Well, there's so many. That's the thing for me, is there's so many layers, right? Like I've probably played, I don't know, 12 or 13 rounds out there at this point, and every picture I take, I feel like the place it's truly like this little 2-degree picture of this 365-degree view all around you. And it's like, it's impossible to capture the place. And every time I've been, there's been a different wind, or there's been, every round there's been a different wind, or there's been different tees or different pins. And like every single round, it gets better and better and better. And I think it's like right there with, it's probably my favorite golf course in the world. And like, whereas I think over at Te Arai with the South course, with, the Core Crenshaw, like that's a spectacular walk along the ocean that makes you feel in certain spots like you're at Sheep Ranch at Bandon, or, certain spots you feel like you're at Bandon Trails. Even like there's some holes up in the woods and stuff. But that one, to me, like the first time you play it, you're like, oh, this is like an 8.9. And then the next time you play it, it's like, it's either going to stay the same, or it's going to get a little bit, it's going to go down a little bit in your book, just because there's not that many layers to it. It's just a really pleasant, wonderful walk and great golf holes. But there's so much depth at Tara Iti, and it's the same thing at, a place like Sand Hills, or a place like, really, like I would say Pacific Dunes as well, of like, you just get a different look every time, and you feel like you're playing a brand new golf course every time. And
Tara Iti's definitely not as turned up as Pacific Dunes. And I think,
and some of that's just the land. Like the land
for
is
sure.
Just, yeah.
But I think you and Solly have had the critique of Pacific Dunes, which I think is right, which is summed up in the 14th hole at Pacific Dunes, where it's like the prevailing wind was not taken into consideration when designing that par 3. It's just like, this doesn't really work here. Like trying to hit that green downwind, which is the prevailing wind, is like, what do we, this is kind of a stupid shot, which I agree with. I feel like Tara Iti took into account the elements. I can only think of one spot on the course where I thought and I think it's the 12th hole, the par 4 up the hill with the blind tee shot. And then you come around, you got to hit that, like, usually
that's
like
a crazy
7-iron.
green.
Like it takes driver out of your hands on a blind
away
shot.
From you.
And then the green, it's like the green, that fall off the left side is like a little too severe, and it's really hard to play it you can play it way up into the hill, but you're hitting like a 7-8 iron in there. That's the only spot where it's like when the wind's blowing, you're like, man, this is just like, I'm getting kicked in the nuts.
But you got the opposite wind, where the prevailing wind is actually in there. So it would help you hold that green and stuff like that. That's one of the holes that's probably grown on me the most, since I just kept playing it. But like going back to, I think it's one of the most brilliant routings I've ever seen, where you got 3 short par 4s on the course, but at no point does it ever feel gimmicky or too gettable or whatever. I think the front's definitely easier than the back, but you've got this little 3-hole loop on the front, and there's all these spots where you could go play a 3, 5, 6-hole loop all over the course. You just be like, all right, like I'm going to take a left here and I can play these 3 holes, or so 1, 2, and 3 go in this little loop, and 1 doesn't look like much when you're teeing off, and it, like, depending upon where the pin is and what the wind is doing and how you want to attack that hole, you can drive it way up the right and hack your way back at it. You can lay up short, like, and I think one of the great things about the stuff off the tee is there's always trouble on both sides.
Yeah.
Like there's always trouble on, like, all right, if you want to push one up the right, and you're gonna have to worry about the hazard on the inside of the dog leg, or you're gonna have to worry about the stuff on the other side going through if you get over aggressive, something like that.
I wouldn't
Like,
even say it's a hazard though. It's
just
I
there.
lost one ball, which was
Yeah.
a kind of a freak accident. There's this like really dense bush on the 15th, the par 3 15th, which is
It's like a
par 3.
It's like a portal to another.
It was like a
dimension.
portal. It was a black hole. Like everybody was like, I don't know. I mean, and it's this bush that's probably like 3 by 3 that sits in like the face of the bunker, and I just mortared it. And it was like had like a tight match going. It was like, oh my god! It was like, how did, like, if I had a bucket of balls, I couldn't drop a ball in that bush again. And that was like one of the only balls I lost.
And it like went down into like the Earth's core, and and I think
you said hazards. It's not hazards. It's just like waste area. So again, like at Pinehurst number 2, and I like that. It's like, yeah, if you hit it on number 1, if you hit it left, you're gonna find that ball. But it's like you're gonna have a blind, weird lie and a blind shot to like a big green. But like, okay, you're making par at best here. Yeah, and it's very fair in that way.
A quick break here to check in with our friends at The Stack. You've heard me talk a lot about the many benefits of the Stack system, particularly the speed training. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about Stack putting. I actually did a session today, filmed it. It's going to come out relatively soon here on our social channels. Didn't go great for your boy, but gleaned a lot of information from it. You get straight up information about how many strokes you're gaining or losing on every single putt. It has you practicing the putts that matter the most, the ones that you're going to gain or lose the most. A lot of putts from 4 feet to 9 feet in that range, uphill left to righters, downhill right to lefters. It gives you a specific distance and a specific break that you should be seeking out, trying to, glean some information from them. For instance, I have gathered that I putt uphill left to right putts through the break too frequently. And you can, it's very easy information to consume once you enter it all in there. And it takes maybe 15 minutes to do the whole thing. I need to get out and do this practice session more often, because you do learn something every single time. And you can mess around with different grips, different putters, and learn what the actual data says about putting techniques or grips or grasses that you play on and whatnot. And you can enter actual information from your rounds on the course if you want to as well, if you want to get a larger sample size. There's just so many great offerings with the Stack. There's also an exciting update for anyone that's been holding out on getting it, the Android and web version. It's basically here. You'll be able to use the Stack on Android or any non-iOS device right in Chrome. Speed training is ready. Library, the learning library is ready. Wedge and putting is coming a bit later. And if you buy now, all of this will be live by the time your Stack actually shows up on your doorstep. So the wait is officially over. Stacksystem.com/NLU. Code no laying up will get you 10% off your order. Again, stacksystem.com/NLU. Code no laying up for 10% off. We thank the Stack for their support of our program. Back to Neil and TC.
It's probably a constant battle just keeping the native somewhat tame,
for sure,
right? Like I think Brian Palmer and his team, they do an awesome job there, but you can see them kind of working their way around the course really as you go along, to where like if left unchecked, that stuff would get very, very penal. But I think one's a good example of, like, you can hit whatever you want off that tee. You can hit 7-iron if you wanted. You could hit driver. But it's kind of a brilliant modern hole where, like, you can't really drive the green, and you're gonna have to kind of hop over the little bunkers there. 2's an homage to the founder has a place at Riviera, and there's a bunker in the middle of the green. We were kind of playing it up the right side the whole time. We had pins on the right side of that one. And then 3, and then I think 3 is where
what do you think? What do you think about? Do you think it's a good homage to Riviera, or?
I think it's cool. It's cool if you mix up the tees. We didn't really get the full experience. They didn't change that whole location all that much. I think they were doing some work on that one. So
Like that was
it's not
one
my
hole that
favorite.
I loved when the first round. I was like, oh, this is sick. And then as
Yeah,
I played it more, I was like, this is fine. You know,
that's
the
one that
actual
hasn't
hole is kind
hasn't
of
grown on me as much
it's a
because I
little
think
boring.
the ball just ends up down the left a
Yeah.
lot, right? But then like I think three's a ball buster
God,
of a
three
par
is such a
four.
good golf hole.
And this natural green site that just sits. I mean, they're all natural green sites, but it just sits down underneath this dune in this little saddle, and
One of
it's
probably two biggest dunes on the course. And it looks like it's just like a big pyramid sitting at the left. And it's similar to number one. And one of the design features I like throughout the course is the ability to play like on par fours, like up, like what you're saying about one. You can go way down the right, almost past the green and come back to it. Like when a green kind of takes a hard, like sits on the side of a hole and the fairway kind of runs up the right or up the left, like past the green. I think that's a really cool feature because it's
yeah.
obvious, like don't miss left here, but everything is like the ocean's left, everything's pulling you left. The hill is almost gradually going left. So you kind of get sucked into this gravity a little bit.
And if it's back left, you can hit it over the dune, but otherwise you can kind of drop it into this little half pipe, terrain, like almost like skate park green off the left, and then it'll go straight left on you. And it's not like you said, if you get out of play or out of position off the tee, you can always hit the heroic shot to get back in. You're just gonna have to do just that, like hit the heroic shot. But it's possible, and there's contouring and stuff to help you out. And then four kind of goes along this like ridge line back the other direction, and there's this house that looks like a B-2 bomber, up on like some of the coolest architecture you'll ever see anywhere. Some of the most
You know what's funny?
avant-garde stuff.
I don't want to digress to the architecture, but it's this unbelievable architecture of these amazing houses, but they all seem like, even from the outside and where we were staying, they all seem somewhat simple constructions, if that makes sense. Which I love about it. It's like like we were staying in a guest house where I was like, man, this feels like I don't want to say like an inexpensive thing to put up, but very simple in comparison to like what gets built in the US. And I think I actually see this with destination golf in the US too. I like the simple like golf resort guest housing is, I don't know, it's almost like a offshoot of architecture that should be studied from people that know more about that than I do. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot of cool like architecture stuff going on at these like remote courses, because it's like who there's not a lot of builders to do that stuff, so you almost have to make do with like easy materials and stuff. But the design, the architecture was amazing, and a lot of like
Yeah.
Bond villain layers with like houses, massive houses just like benched into hills where you can only like see a little bit of it. It just gets your
Bat
imagination
cave.
firing. You're
Yeah.
like, man,
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a bunker under that one. Like it looks like there's room. That thing's
It's like
like,
right under right between the forest and the
yes.
the sand and the dunes and all that stuff. And then yeah, like on the other side you've got this massive dune that's always kind of creeping back and forth. It's probably a couple hundred feet tall, and there's stuff, like that's kind of a different part of the course as well. That's, there's different architecture over there too. So it's very, I mean, I think it's a pretty sought after commission down there of like, all right, I think some of the best architects in the world are doing some of these places. But yeah, that's kind of the first, short four where like you can drive it, you can do any, like, I think the thing that I like about at least that one in 13 is it entices you to go for it, instead of, I think there's too many short par fours these days that like all the trouble is just a bunker or a lake or a hazard of some sort, where yeah, like there's a bunker kind of cut into the front, and then there's some stuff left, but overall like you can kind of just, you may have a four putt, but you can reach the surface, and then there's, like it's not going to kick you in the face, right? And it's just lay of the land stuff.
A concept that I will bring up when we talk about Te Arai North is specifically the fourth hole. If there's a center line, not quite pop bunker, but like small bunker. And if
Yeah.
you if you challenge that bunker, you are likely to be on the front of the green. Like you get rewarded for it. You get it kind of it flattens out up there. You're going to either have a pretty easy bump and run, or you're going to be, depending on the wind, you're going to be on the green. Or at the very least, and this is saying a lot with Tom Doak, you're going to have a clean look at the flag. You're going to, the whole green's going to it's going to be right there. Like you did it, you made it up here. And I appreciate that. And so that, like you're saying, it's like, it's worth it to take that risk on, because if you lay back, you're still hitting a blind 120 shot, like wind's whipping some direction.
You go long, it's not too penal. There's a bunker back there that, isn't a bad spot. But I think another cool thing is, like, I don't know, the bunkers are different every time you play it. Sometimes they have a bunch of sand, sometimes they don't. Like,
they're true
all dependent
hazards.
upon, they're just truly like natural golf. Certainly wasn't as like kind of peak of season firmness that we got, like, but it was still playing firm and fast. Like, I think like they could get Tara Iti, I think, more burned out and bouncy than just about anywhere in the world. But that's kind of a great.
I just to shout out, like, fescue greens, kind of a revelation for me. I think we played at Cow Club at fescue greens, and my only experience really with them before this trip was Old Mac, and I don't think those did too well. I think they switched them to POA out at Bandon.
They've let those go to POA. I think the other courses at Bandon still have fescue greens.
But it's kind of a it fools my senses a little bit playing fescue, where they look shaggy to the eye, but they just roll so true, and you're like, man, it looks like this ball's gonna get twisted and turned a bunch of ways. But I mean, you're proof of it. God, you putted so freaking good for like 6 days straight. TC made everything he looked at. He and his caddy Tatey were just like telepathic in these. I got my ass kicked like the whole trip by TC. It was impressive. But once you're kind of in these fescue greens, I really enjoyed it. Like I really like playing on those greens. I didn't putt well, but that was a carpenter issue, not a tool or environment issue.
But then, so you've got kind of that like 4-hole loop up there that and then you can just go out and play that. And then you could go over to 9 and play in. But then you take a right and you go down and you play straight out to the ocean on number 5. And you're like, holy shit, this is wild. We've talked about that hole. Like there's another one just like it on the back, number 11. That's, absolutely spectacular, similar concepts and everything. And then 6 is like, I don't know, 6 is one of the harder holes on the course. I would say that, and 14 and 15. Just, long par 4, ocean, or, a bunch of jungle to the right and some death bunkers to the left and crazy bunkers up by the green. But like, it's one of those holes where, like, if you hit it from the shorter tees, even, I think it's just as hard of a hole, because you're bringing just different bunkers into play.
Very different angle. So like the tee is almost, as you
it's like a runway tee, like all along the left side.
Yeah. And so it changes the angle of like how you have to fit the drive, the tee shot into the hole. But from that back
spectacular from the back tee. Yeah,
it is. It's so intimidating, and maybe more visually intimidating of, if you just hit a good drive, you're kind of like, okay, we're in a good spot. But that's another place where the hole is framed with that sand dune you're talking about. That's probably 5+ miles down the beach, is like perfectly pyramided behind this 6th green. And it's like another thoughtful thing that, again, just gets you kind of fired up about like the earth, just like nature. It's like, because you're kind of picking different tees. You're not really playing this course to post a score. It's much more of a match play environment. And so it's much more of like hitting these shots that you come back the next day and you're like, God, I want to hit that shot again. And specifically, we got to get to this one, the tee shot on 7. So TC, take us to 7.
It's I don't know, it's probably what, 260-ish, 270-ish, par 4, short 4, big tree, long left. That kind of frames everything. The clubhouse up on this dune to the right, bunkers, long right, this tiny little green. I mean, I think it's one of the, if not the smallest green Doak's ever built, one of them. Kind of runs diagonal over the hole. And again, it's another one of those holes where like the more I play it, the more I'm like, man, I never want to lay up here because it's like you're gonna have to hit like this. Like I feel better skipping or hitting a bunker shot or a long putt from there versus having to hit even a wedge into this green from 100 yards out is like absolutely terrifying. And I don't think my dispersion's tight enough to hit the green a lot of the time. So you might as well just take on all the risk. And for whatever reason, like we had a crazy wind kind of off the left or downwind some of the days. For whatever reason, it just fits my eye. And I think the first trip down, I think I played it in 3 or 4 under par, and I think I was like 5 under on this trip. It's just like I just love whether it's 3-wood or mini driver or driver. I just love the shot. It just brings something out of me. So
as you mentioned, wind off the left. The clubhouse sits perched about 50 feet up on top of this big dune, kind of creates like an amphitheater along the right side of the hole with some skinny waist area bunker at the bottom. Think about that wind off the left and tell me how it went for me. I hit it up on top of that dune, almost into the same divot 3 times in a row, which is like up by 9 green. So I'm hitting this
fire pit,
like 80-yard shot to a tiny green from up there. I finally made par on the hole the last time we played it. Otherwise, I was pretty much, in my pocket, like putting it into that dune or on top of that dune. But this is where going so far away kind of works against you. It's like, I should lay up on that shot, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to I might never come back here. Like I need to slay this dragon. I got to hit this shot. It's which is a credit to like how like fun of a golf hole it is, where you're like, I need to do this. I need to locate this ball at least in one of these greenside bunkers, or I'd regret it. I'd be like, oh, I don't really want to hit 7 iron, 54 degree. Like that's what I should do, but I don't want to. So really, really fun, exacting golf hole there.
I think I'm due for a regression at some point. Like I'm going to make a couple of quads or something in a row on that hole. But for the most part, that's the closest I've gotten to an ace on a par 4. To that afternoon that we were all playing together as like an 8-some.
That was awesome.
8 out there, and it's like 4 inches, but yeah, that's a shot. Like I think that's right there with like the second shot into the road hole at St. Andrews. Like probably 3 favorite shots in the world. Like that's
which I think, I know you're prone to hyperbole. I would say that's not a hot take.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. It's that good. So you got that 7-hole kind of stretch there, and then you pop over the dune and you go to 8. I think 8's one of the most underrated holes in the entire course. Love that hole. There's all this room up the left, and you got, again, you got just staggered ridge lines and bunkers benched into stuff, and the way that green works, and you can use the back slope to kind of bring it back. Just an awesome hole, and it's like really, super playable for like high handicaps too.
I'd say it's like a really good example of minimalism, as the golf architecture wonks are want to say. The caddies were telling me that hole with these cross bunkers gives some guys that don't hit the ball very high like a ton of fits, because they'll play it out. They can't get it up in the air high enough to carry the cross bunker that's the first one coming off the left, but then it'll run, when it's firm, it'll run into the next bunker that's probably 50 yards farther up the right. So they're like, I kind of try to tell, some of my older members, like, you got to hit like 3-wood here. And they're like, what are you talking about? And it's like, well, you're just going to end up in that. Like, there's nothing we can do. Those bunkers are well placed.
And all the bunkers are native. There's no rakes anywhere. So you just, everything is native. And then nine's similar to nine's almost like the inverse of 4, where or of 3, where like it's just a ball buster. It's like a par 4.5 ball buster straight up the hill, back up to the clubhouse, and it's hidden by this dune on the right. And same kind of concept though. This green just benched between these 2 dunes.
That's a good point. It's like, instead of being downhill, it's uphill. Instead of the green on the left, it's on the right. I didn't think about it, but it is pretty much an inverse. A little less turn to it, but a stout finisher to the front nine.
And the kind of hole where like you could drop a bucket of balls on that front of that green and probably get the ball to the hole like 40 different ways.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm going to play it off that slope, that slope, that slope, that sort of thing. So, and then you kind of go over towards the other side of the property. And my opinion, I like 10's not a bad hole. There's not even there. Like it's all relative. I think 10's probably one of my least favorites on the course. It's a strong par three.
It's a hard
Big,
par three.
Big bump there that you've got to really navigate. Otherwise, it's going to funnel everything short left and into this bunker down the left. But that's kind of, it just kind of gets you out to the back nine a little bit. And then, 11's another great par five, similar to everything you like about number five, going out towards the ocean and a ton of different ways to play it, and a little bit more turned up on the green. Like you can miss that one short and kind of be in a tough spot. And then we talked about 12 a little bit. You kind of go back the other way, and like 12, I think plays really cool as like a shorter par four. But that one, I have so much trouble with that drive where you're just looking at this hillside that's almost disconcertingly close to you, and you're like, all right, like you just gotta trust your caddy, and you're like, all right, hit this spot.
And they're pointing at stuff like a lot farther left than you think you need to be. But everything, once you get over that hill, rolls right. And I found that one to be very tricky, and maybe that, again, it could be the wind we had, but I don't know. Sometimes when you have like a blind tee shot that takes driver out of your hands, it's almost like, man, then it's just as hard on the next shot. That one was a little too turned up for me.
And then you get, the back's definitely harder. I think 13's another short four. Similar concept, more kind of draped on the top of this dune, and you've got kind of this cool, like you get a look into the village and the town nearby on the left, and there's some alternate tee boxes you can play on that one. But another great short four.
A weird note I had, TC, about 13. I kept getting like deja vu of the view from like, I think it's the 6th or the 7th hole at on the front nine of Tralee. Like the view to the left over into that. It's almost like a quaint pastoral. It looks almost like a little village over there, like from Ireland. I'm like, God, I feel like I've been here before. Very few people will understand a deep cut reference like that, but that's just, I felt that way like every round.
Like the club has their little farm over there.
Yeah.
And, they're growing stuff. It's wild. And then
I would like to raise my hand.
And then
for
14's just all right.
I think
weirdly, take it away.
5 and 14 are my two favorites, and I don't know if I think 14's really hard, and I don't think
we
it's
got the hardest wind
of
too.
Members, but I guess normally it would play. It's like a tee box, probably the highest tee box on the property, like this back corner, and you just get this panoramic view of the the water. You're looking out to the water. The island is straight ahead behind the green. And it has this massive dune, big wide fairway, but massive dune on the left, and waste area way over on the right. And we're playing into the wind, so it was a beast. But it feels like you get a drive out there, and if the wind was behind us, I'd probably like the hole even more, because then you could take on that hill and try to let it
get a look at the green,
trundle down to like 40 yards in. So then it really does bring in that dune and that trouble on the left. But even without it, you hit a drive out in the middle of the fairway, and it's another one where the hole, it's literally, there's a dune behind the green that was almost shaped to look identical to this spooky looking island behind it, like the jaggedness into the dune. And I'm like, that has to be intentional, and that's awesome. Like little things like that just get me so fired up. And it's a really demanding shot that if you execute it into that green, there's a milk carton bunker on the left. Like you can't go left, but I think it's fair. You can miss right. There's room. And it just feels good to make par on that hole into the wind. And the more I played that hole, the more I like appreciated it for both its like beauty and for just being like a stout par four.
Yeah, we played it. I mean, almost 500 yards dead into the wind, and it played like a par five, where, it's like, lock in, right? But again, there's plenty of birdies out there. Like it's nice to have. And same thing with 15. Like we played 15 from the back tees a couple times. That's a good 230, 240 back there. But you've got, just I think they've softened that one on the left side a little bit, taking out some bunkers, but really, really deep green. But one of the more exacting long irons you'll ever hit anywhere. And again, it's a pleasure to play off of this turf,
Yeah.
right? This where you're loving hitting wedge, whether it's a wedge or a long iron or even driver off the deck. Like it's just so pure and so consistent. But yeah, 15, just like all right, you got to like go through this gauntlet to really get a good round in the house. And then 16's a little bit of, kind of a let up there, kind of an offbeat little par four, similar concept to like what you'd see on 8. Cool green. I find that green to be like probably the firmest one on the course. It just kind of bakes out. That one in 14, just bake out in the sun all day. But again, like really, really cool depending upon what tee box you play it from. You're worried about different stuff. Again, layers, right? And then 17 is like everybody calls it this short par three. I don't, man, like that hole's really demanding. Like I don't find it that short. That's a tough little green to hit. It's like a little postage stamp par three that I know they beefed up a little bit. And again, we were playing it into the wind.
I
So
mean, that green
um,
sits way up. It's almost like the volcano. It's
yeah.
perched, so with the wind whipping, you gotta dropping a 9 iron onto that green is intimidating. And I think 18's it could be interesting. I think that personally, I think that's the weakest hole on the course. 18 is.
I'm kind of conflicted on 18 too, like, where man, and some of this, like I was in this little bunker that's like this little scrape behind the green that isn't much wider than my laptop.
Yeah.
And after hitting like what I felt like was a really good second shot in there, and it was just like one little final nut tap from
We were
Doak.
calling it Doak's signature. It was like just him signing his name on the course, which I thought was awesome. But my issue, or not issue, but yeah, criticism of the hole would be I feel like the tee shot, there's not really anywhere to land. It's a par five, so you're going to hit driver, and there's not really a place to land your drive. I mean, it feels like you got to hit it kind of up the left, but there's these really
I'm
deep,
always in those bunkers up the
skinny
left.
bunkers. You can't avoid it. It's a blind tee shot. Like you can see about 200 yards out, and then it kind of goes over this ridge, and then there's this big blowout waste area on the right, and that's going to block you out, so you can't see the
Yeah.
green. It just doesn't feel like there's I don't know what we're asking me to do there. Are we asking me to hit 3-wood? Because it's like, oh well, that kind of stinks on the last hole.
It's a pretty technical golf hole, I
Yeah,
think, and it's cool. It's a good hole. It's just stood up against everything else out there. You're kind of like, all right, do I love this or not, kind of thing.
yeah.
So, like, I did like before we transitioned to north and south, like I did a little composite routing of like best first hole between the three courses, best second hole, best third hole. Like I had 11 or 12 holes going to Tara Iti, and then I had like 5 or 6 on south and 1 on north.
I probably, when we do that, I probably support that. I would
Yeah.
say in talking through this, what's such a pleasure out there in comparison, like, all right, I just played La Tourette or most courses. If you play them over and over again, you kind of know, like I love Sweetens Cove, but I know what I'm going to hit pretty much on every shot, And so, yes, I really, really enjoy hitting the same shots, and you can mix up the tees and the pins. So it's going to be a little bit different. But I felt like every time we looped Tara Iti, like you said just a minute ago, there's like a new bunker or a new feature that you're worried about because the wind changed or we're playing a different tee. So you're almost like, you can't just go on autopilot and be like, oh, I know what to do here. Like, or even like Justin
the
Thomas
light
talking
is
about Quail
different.
Hollow. Like, yeah, there's not a lot to think about off the tee. There's a ton to think about on the tee at Tara Iti. It's like the complete opposite end of the spectrum. You're just constantly like, man, I don't know. I hit
My brain's
3-wood
on
this
fire out
morning.
there.
Should I hit 3-wood again?
Yeah.
The wind kind of changed, or like we moved the
I
tee
think
back.
I think that's probably the one thing that like I would say about number 18 there, where depending upon if I'm hitting a cut, I'm super worried about going to the right bunker, and if I'm hitting a draw, I'm super worried about going to the left bunker, regardless of where I'm landing it. Like that's how exacting that tee
Yeah,
shot
that's what I
is,
mean, and that
you
almost
know?
looks like, maybe that's a little like it just
Yeah, but it's all yeah.
looks,
But then, it's a shorter par five, and you can
Yeah,
always
so maybe I answered my own
pitch it
question.
back into play and have a wedge in your hand or an 8-iron in your hand to a pretty dialed up green. Weirdly, that hole always reminds me of the 18th hole at Prairie Dunes. Even though they're like radically different holes, they're both just kind of awkward
Yeah.
and awkward in a way that like that's part of the charm or that's part of the challenge, I think. But yeah, I mean, everything out there is just it's layers. You feel like you're playing golf in like 5 dimensions, right? It's a sensory experience. Um,
Last thing I want to mention, I mentioned it on when we discussed this briefly a month ago. I have to shout out the caddies. The caddy program is unbelievable. So I had Alex, Sandy, Willie over the course of our 5 or 6 days there, but then Ewan, Katie, Brady, Henry, Shar, everybody was just like, it seemed like they were happy to come to work, and they were like invested in just like playing capital G
yeah,
golf. And I don't know, man, a faraway place, taking pride in your caddy program like that. It was like, it's a joy for me to see like straight up competence. The older I get, the more I just appreciate like people that are taking pride in their work and
craftsmanship.
competence and
Yeah,
like good attitude, good. And I just like, I got a little, hang doggy in a couple rounds, and these guys are kind of like trying to pick me up. And, I just felt like it was just good energy for 6 days. And they try to
yeah.
set you up with the same guy. It was late season. So I had, a few guys were kind of going on vacation or whatever, but all three of my caddies I just had a blast with. And then just generally
And
like the vibe, it is a very exclusive place, and it's a private club, but I did not feel like I was on eggshells. And that's worth noting in
it's one of the most casual, comfortable, just come as you are places, and like don't infringe upon other people's enjoyment or privacy. But otherwise, man, like go have fun, go go drink some beers, go play
yeah.
great golf.
The last thing I'll say, we didn't mention this at the beginning, and I obviously will not say their name, but for me, a very famous, very recognizable face. When we walked in to have lunch the first day out of the rental car, I'm like, oh my God, is that who I think it is? And it was. And it was just like, oh wow, other side of the world. Like it was an author, a writer that I've read a lot of his stuff for a long, long time. And I did not say hi. It didn't seem like he wanted me to say hi, but I was like, I know exactly who that is. And then like 5 minutes later, TC was like, yo, is that? And I was like, yes, yes. I was like, I'm not crazy. Okay. Because it's such a deep cut to recognize this person. That's what I'll say. But that got me so jacked up.
Yeah, interesting time to be seeing that person
Yeah.
too.
It was
In kind of
fantastic.
yeah. But yeah, and then yeah, like you go, I don't know, driving range is cool. It's all cool. Like just props to the vision that it took to create that place. There's a really cool portrait of Rick Kane, the one of the founders of the place
It's an
in the
outrageous portrait.
clubhouse. I love it. It's just like him in this like fur kind of blanket almost or and
I
it's
got to think it's like some type of indigenous vibe. I don't know, but
yeah.
it's
There's
something.
this unbelievably cool quote there of just yeah, it's just like a really I don't know, just
It strikes me. No, it's a good
distinctive
thing to
thing.
bring up because it definitely strikes me. That place is the vision of an individual that they were
Yes.
like, they saw it through and they brought it to life. And like, that's awesome. It's worth celebrating. Like somebody like, I want to make a dope golf club on the other side of the world, and I'm going to do it. And they pulled it off. And that's
Yeah.
what you got there. And then it
And
becomes a
like
bit of a center of gravity because that's what leads to the Te Arai resort, getting
yeah.
put in, right? It puts this North Island, East Coast of North Island, like on the map as like, we should build golf courses here. This is perfect land for golf.
And in a country where private clubs don't, private club golf, like truly private stuff doesn't really exist, and figuring out a way to kind of help that coexist with, kind of Kiwi and just kind of how everything goes around there. So it's tough to get this stuff done. So yeah, and then right up the road you've got these other two like unbelievably like they're great courses. They're you know world I wouldn't say world top 100. I would say world top 200 probably. I would say the comp for South would be like that's the core Crenshaw would be. I like it better than Cabot Cliffs. I think it's a better, more more cohesive routing than Cabot Cliffs. It's a great walk along the ocean. I don't think it has as many layers as you're talking about at Tara Iti, but just this whole setup that they've got at the south of they've got this big driving range, short game facility, this restaurant Rick's. They've got one of the biggest putting green, like fun putting greens you've ever seen. All cut out of kind of this pine forest, almost kind of like tree farm kind of pine forest. And then this high end restaurant overlooking 18. That's kind of reminds you of what they've got at Cabot as well. Like it's a pretty similar setup to the Cabot Nova Scotia stuff. But the golf is, I think at least on South, like the golf is taking up the good real estate, right? The golf is on the
Yeah.
dunes, the golf is out by the ocean, all of that. And going through it, like I think the high points for me are like on South are I love the first few holes. Like you're not near the ocean at all, and you're a big wide par five that reminds me of some of the stuff at Sheep Ranch, and then this really cool like dogleg right par four where you can see the green up the right tree line, kind of uphill, and but you've got the whole world left,
Okay.
and you're trying to.
I got to stop you right there. I think I cannot stop thinking about number 2
It's
on the
sick,
South Course.
right?
It might be one of my favorite holes. I just think it sums up everything I love about Core and Crenshaw. It's so subtle. They do such a good job of framing a hole, especially an inland hole, back into this amphitheater of trees. Go way up this hill on number 1, a par 5,
The
which is a
scale
pretty
is crazy.
easy opener. And then, yeah, it just unveils into this long cape-ish par 4 with this striking, like massive bunker down the right and this big ridge that you can play off of down the left. It's just such an inviting golf environment. I can't wait to hit that tee shot. And like you can get yourself into all kinds of trouble.
Yeah.
But it's like I really like the way that they take one or two big features and they
Or
make
themes.
those sing.
Yeah.
They just accentuate it. It's a true less is more. And I think the second hole at Te Arai South is like one of my favorite like new holes that I've seen in a long time. I think that course is much better than Cabot Cliffs. Like overall,
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
start to finish. There are
Totally.
some down holes, but I just think Te Arai South is an awesome golf course. I enjoyed both rounds we played out there. I wanted to play it again. I think it's worth a trip to play these two courses. I want to call that out. Like it's worth going down there for these two courses and for the South course specifically.
I've played it, I think 5 times now, and the progression that it's made from the first trip 2 years ago until now, because it had just opened then, was remarkable. Like how much all the native stuff had grown in and framed the holes and everything. Like, and it's still not all the way there as far as what it will be fully realized, but it was an awesome step in the right direction. But yeah,
I just
like
think they did such a good job with that land of giving you a mix of downhill inviting shots and uphill. Like 2 and 3 are a good example. 2 is very inviting, kind of gradually down this big long slope, and then this green sits into these trees. It's really just
1, 2,
easy
Neil,
on
like
the eyes.
2 is,
and then 3 is like intimidating. You're going back up almost that same hill.
Yeah.
You're rising back up, and you're like, okay, I gotta hit into this elevated green, and I don't really know. Wind's whipping. Like you can feel like the wind is almost blocked back there by this big hill, but you can see it up on the green. It's like, man, it's whipping up there. So that's just a scary shot on the next hole. It is a much shorter par 4.
And I think too, there's a lot more depth than meets the eye. Like first time you get out on that tee box, you're kind of like, oh shit, this is wide. This is, I can just bang one way up the left, but then the way the green is oriented, you've got a shitty angle in there. Like, you want to hit kind of a cut, get it somewhat close to that bunker on the right. And then it's you may have 6, 7, 8 iron in. green kind of falls away from you, and it's really, really tough to get your distance right. Like it's a very exacting shot. Those greens are a lot firmer than they were the first time. Just like there's a lot more than meets the eye on that hole.
What I would say is about two. The strategy, it's very simple but very effective strategy of like, yeah, there's no secret here. Like challenge the bunker up the right side, get a flatter lie, and have a much better angle into this green.
Cleaner look, yeah.
Or don't. And I just love sometimes that Core and Crenshaw, they don't complicate it. It's like, yo, we don't have to jazz this up. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a beautiful golf hole. It's a simple strategy. Can I execute the shot? And if you don't, it's like, yeah, if you miss left, that's fine. If you miss right, it's like, yeah, you're an idiot. Like that's bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like just simplifying. It's just good, man. I just
simple
like
and
it.
direct.
Yes.
Yeah. But also gorgeous as well. Like, I think it's one of those courses, and I mean this in a great way, to where like there's not as much going on, and so you can just pick your head up a little bit and just enjoy the walk and relax,
sure.
and then you can lock in and take on the trouble and really try to grind or try to strategize. That's out there too. 4 is kind of this Mad Max Fury Road shit down the hill of just pretty provocative tee shot of like, again, super wide and just tumbles down this big hill, and you're hitting a long iron into, it's a 200-yard shot into this massive kind of catcher's mitt green, and that gets you down
unveil. To the. And I like a mid-round, like you get this at Pacific Dunes, like the unveil of the ocean, like early in the front 9, because you're like, oh man, when you've been playing in the woods, and then all of a sudden it's just you walk up this hill on 3, and then you get to 4T, and you round the corner in 4 fairway. You're like, whoa! You see the clouds rolling in. It's like, is rain coming? It's like you kind of strap your seatbelt on and get ready for, I guess, the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, basically all the way to 10. You're on the ocean. The rest of the front 9.
Yeah, and it's not the most intimate hole, but I think that's kind of the point, right? It's almost like sensory overload, and then you walk a little bit backwards, which kind of from a walk perspective, like having to walk backwards to the next tee, but this brilliant little par 3 that goes out towards the ocean with this infinity green kind of postage stamp hold. It's like more than meets the eye. We had a wind dead in, and it was like, man, this is a demanding short on a.
It was
short little
120
par 3,
and I think I hit 7 iron. Just like straight into it. And what a good feeling when you hit the green on a shot like that. You're like, man, I took all the variables into account and I dropped this ball 15 feet from the hole. I am the master of the universe,
And there's a shelf, it falls off on the right side. There's a little tiny bunker in front, but you're basically looking at, this pin and then those same islands out in the distance, and it's just gorgeous. It's, simple, not easy. And then you go along the ocean for 6 is a par 4. This hole's a tricky driving hole. You're kind of driving it over this dune up the left, and then kind of having to, it kind of opens up after that long skinny green. There's a bunker short right, but really, you just got to get your distance right on that shot. And then 7's a par 5. I have not gotten the hang of this one.
I think it's like a fantastic golf hole.
It is.
Panorama of the ocean, straight down the coastline. What you see is what you get with, but you just got to, off the tee, you got to pick a target and stick to it with the wind howling. And it's a hole you can score on if but you can get yourself into a ton of trouble there too.
The par 5s out there are really cool. It's a really thought-provoking, like they're all kind of pretty in front of you, at least the 2 on the front are, but you still got to hit the shots and play pretty thoughtfully. And then 8's got one of my favorite bunkers anywhere.
It's like little bunker in front.
Yeah, it's just like little par 3. It's mid-length, probably 140 to 170 yards. But there's this little pop bunker in front that the lip is on the side away from the green. So it's on the left side of the green. It's kind of the single defining feature there. And then you've got this green that kind of wraps around it. And the lip is on the left side of the bunker and the green is on the right side. So you can putt out of the bunker on the right side. But basically the wind is blowing off the ocean there and it's blowing all the sand up towards the lip on the left side away from the green. It's just one of those spots where like you get some really weird lies. It's not a place you want to be,
No, it's not.
but yeah, it's just a really, really cool little, singular feature that defines an entire hole.
Again, let that feature breathe, and
Yeah.
that just I don't know, they do such a good job with subtle stuff that the CNC boys do.
And then 9 I didn't really like 9 the first time I played it. It's like a 340 yard par 4 up the hill. The more I've played it, the more I'm like, man, this hole's really cool. It's just really hard. And it's like, it's not hard by virtue of you kind of hit whatever you want off the tee. You got to keep it short of this bunker up the right. That's, probably 75, 100 yards short of the green. But you can kind of lay back too far and have too difficult of a shot in. It's kind of a tough green to hold. And then you think you're going to be able to take it off the back of there and you don't want to go long of this green. I did that a couple times. And I don't know. It's just one of those holes that's the more it grows in and gets framed, the more I like it.
I think one where you probably have a wedge in hand, but it's an uphill shot and you have to be pretty dialed on your, distance control. One of the more demanding wedge shots on the course.
Yeah. And then I really like you got kind of a walk up and then around, and 10 is framed by all these forest holes. 10's sweet, and I love it. You got to really poke a drive up the right, like uncomfortably right. And there's this kind of walkway, almost like a little ledge up the right. And then just this big, long green with, really, really subtle features in it. And it's a tough one to get your distance right on. And I don't know.
It's very similar to 2 in how it looks. And they just do such a good job of like setting greens into like attractive places where they look inviting, but it's like, oh man, that green slopes front to back. It's massive. And you kind of are thinking I'm going to go on offense here, but you can like, you fly it all the way to the hole. You get a big bounce off the back. It's not as easy as it looks. It's a subtle challenge on 10. And again, it's
everything
like they do
to
such
the
a
middle.
good job with these inland holes where you're like, God, this is just awesome. There's no ocean involved.
It's like a nothing piece of the land just right next to the driving range.
I know.
He built this freaking awesome, like 400 yard plus par 4. And then you take a right and you go out straight out to the ocean again.
Beast.
And
11's a beast.
11, and you just got to hit. It's pretty wide fairway, but you just got to hit a good drive there. 400 yards plus. We had it dead into the wind, and then I would say one of the 2 or 3 most demanding shots, not just on that course, but on the entire property. The second shot in there.
Yeah, the green's it doesn't look elevated, but it is, and it's into the wind, and you got a bad gnarly bunker on the left, and it's going to run away from you on the right. So you got to step up and hit the shot there.
Yeah. And then, there's just like, you don't want to miss left in that bunker. And then you can play ping pong there quite a bit. And then 12's one that's still, I think, growing in, like just it's a long par 3, massive, massive green. You're kind of trying to hit it to, depending upon where the pin is, you're trying to really hit a specific spot and then have it run out like 25, 30, 40 yards.
It's got Redan whiffs, or revert, like it's not one, but you can hit this little
Redan
front left hill, and it takes almost like a full second for the ball to then appear 40 yards later. It's like a pinball shoot, and you're like, I don't know, did I hit the hill? And a couple of them like really rolled out like 40 yards. It was
one of the more severe greens shot too. Yeah,
probably the biggest green on the course, I think.
Yeah, and then the next hole is one of the smallest greens on the course. I love this par 5.
I do too. And I could understand. I was curious to hear what you'd say about this, because I could understand if people hated it. It is it's tricky, but it's this shorter par 5 up the hill.
Oh, it's 560 from the backs, but if you're playing like the 1-ups or just the regular, like the normal people tees, it's like 480. You're not looking at a long par 4 here. You're gonna have like a 5-wood or a hybrid in if you've hit a good drive. It's up the hill, pretty generous off the tee. Like you got to hit a good drive, but pretty generous off the tee. And that second shot is just like the green looks like it's just dripping off the side of the ridge or off the side of this dune. And it, that bunker in front is so deep. I think they've had some issues with that hillside kind of running away, or that bunker kind of washing out a bunch. But not only do you have to hit the shot, you got to hit like the right height shot. You got to get it to
Yeah.
apex. Because if you're just trying to blast one 235, 225, 215, 240 up this hill with a 3-wood or even a 3-iron, and you don't get it up high enough, you're just hitting it right into the bunker or right just short, and it's not going to jump up there.
Can
So
I give you a very stupid visual analogy for people listening?
yeah,
This green reminds me of like a skinny like recliner, like that you'd sit in, where it like
2 tiers.
I got this like stupid redneck like lawn chair, it's like, yeah, it's like a really like almost a wall of grass. So I'll try to do it into the camera, like a wall of grass, and then it like rounds out, and then that's where your butt would go, and then it rounds out again, and then it goes. So it's like, yeah, like rollers down the front. It's just, I don't know. It's really intimidating trying to hit like a 5-iron or a 4-iron into that green. But
Yeah.
another one where you're like, you don't have to. It's par 5. You could just not do that.
Yeah,
And
you could like hit a wedge in, and then it's just fun. And like even if you like, let's say you don't get it there, and you're 10 yards short, 20 yards short, it's a thrilling third shot.
yeah,
To
it is.
try to get one, you can use this massive slope that kind of cuts the green in half. It's wild.
But
So
good bunkers in front right and back left, and depending on where the pin is, it's just, yeah, it's kind of chaos. It's really cool.
that was definitely one of my, I don't know. It's just a thrilling hole. That was one of the ones that I had south as, like that's in my composite routing. And then 14 for me as well. I had this one in my composite routing as well. I thought 14 is like, it's drivable par 4. They've put these, I think the first time it was just a couple mounds, but they've put a couple of bunkers in, drivable par 4, anywhere from like 275 to 310, 320. Cool green. You've got, bunkers up the left, and you can kind of bail out up the right. You can always hit a, easy layup and then an easy wedge in, but just a fun shot. And
It takes you out to the far, like almost peninsula of the course. You feel like you're way out. You feel like you're on the edge of the earth. The green almost sits like drop off on the back and the left, but honestly feels like on the right too.
yeah,
It's really fun shot
pretty
to hit.
exposed, and you're looking out towards the headland, and then it's kind of the closest piece of land towards Tara Iti. Yeah, it's just a really, I don't know, it's pretty engaging shot at a cool point in the round. And then I mean, 15 and 16 didn't do a lot for me. Like, it was this portion of the course that really like grew on me the most as it's grown in and, gotten framed. I think 15 is, trickier driving hole, kind of double, layered fairway. And then you just got to hit a really good second shot in there. It's, kind of an, elevated green and big green, but you got to hit kind of a thoughtful second shot. You got plenty to help you out up there long right.
I
So
agree with you here. 15 and 16 they're good, not great. I think this is where they could have done a better job routing the course. I'm not a pro architect, but it feels like you go straight out and then you come basically straight back. 15, 16, 17, 18 are all kind of on a line. They're, adjusted a little bit directionally, but if they could have mixed up, like bringing 13, almost playing out to the water and then figure eighting back, you probably could have mixed it up a little bit, because 15 and 16 feel a little redundant would be they don't look the same, but they're kind of both shorter par 4s that, back to back. I was like, okay. The 13 was a crescendo,
yeah.
and then 17 is awesome.
It's also funny to like play 4 holes in a row right on the ocean and be like, oh yeah, the routing sucks.
I know, yeah, that sounds stupid, but do you know what I'm trying to say? Because of the wind direction, it's like
I think 16, there's a lot more there than meets the eye. Like, it's not drivable. It's just really awkward. And the more I play it, the more I dig it. Hey, try to squeeze one down the right, get a flat lie, and and then you're hitting a wedge that you got to worry about spinning off the front of that green. There's a lot of little mounds, humps and bumps up there. Or you go up the left, you got a clean look, but probably a hanging lie. But it's just one of those holes that's like, unless you're really, really, really long and the wind is cooperating, it's a 2-shot hole. But 340, you're kind of going to dismiss it on the card when really there's a lot of nuance there.
That's fair. Maybe I'm being my take is a bad one because I agree. 16 has a lot going on with the green.
17's sick. I mean, 17's like
it's almost like identical to the Sheep Ranch 17th.
Well, and like the way that green
or 16 at Sheep Ranch. Sorry,
11. The way that 11 green butts up against kind of the back side or that right side of it, and all that, you got 12T there, and then you've got 17 green and 18 green. Like it kind of feels like that one green at Sheep Ranch and that whole area where you're walking around, and it's just a magical little spot. You got bunkers all around it. It's almost like this little racetrack bank on the front right to middle left, and then it banks back around, and the wind's always going to be crossing probably in one of the two directions, and it's a really finicky little wedge, or I think it maxes out at like 119 yards. It's just an awesome hole.
Yeah, and it's fun when you can hit over a dune to like back right is like a safe harbor back there. But if you're hitting into the wind, you're just praying that it carries this like nasty dune on the right. It's I love that concept, and it feels like they took that from Sheep Ranch and brought it here. It's like, sign me up for more of those holes.
And then 18 is a great par 5. I really enjoyed it. It's like, I think I would call this one like resort golf at its finest. Like
Good
it's
take.
wide. You can kind of do whatever you want off the tee. There's some bunkers up the right to kind of catch some stray shots, but for the most part, like you're gonna have a look, and you've got the whole world to your right on the second shot. Whether you want to, lay up to like 140 yards, or you can hit driver again all the way down the right, and then you're almost trying, like, instead of trying to go for it more, you're trying to set up an angle for your third shot. Because I think if you go for it, there's this little black hole.
I wouldn't even call it. It's nothing little about it. It's not a bunker. It's a chasm, and it has the same thing we were talking about with Tara Iti, where you can play, the fairway goes like past the green, so the green sits like left of the fairway, so you can play it way up, and then almost play backwards to the hole if you want to.
Okay. It's tough. It's tough to emphasize enough, like how much real estate you have to the right.
So think about that, and then think we're finishing the dark in our first round, and I just didn't. For some reason I couldn't really tell that it was like a chasm. I thought it was like, oh, it's just the fairway dips down. It's like a 2-leveled fairway. I just hit like the perfect driving iron, like dead straight into this. It's probably 50 feet down into this, what is a bunker. And the bunker goes from like 100 yards to probably like 20 yards short of the green. So it's just this awkward distance. You got to carry it over like a 30-foot lip. Total brain dead stuff for me. And I was like, oh God, one of those like, oh, I thought there was like fairway here. It's like, no, man, obviously not. There's like 75 yards of fairway over here on the right. Like, what are you thinking? But I think what you said about like resort golf at its finest, it's a really like friendly, fun finisher. That you just you can walk right across the fairway into the restaurant and bar, and like what a day for us, like as the rain is rolling in.
Yeah, but then there's also like, if the pin's back right or back, like you don't want to go way down the right. You want to like lay up short so you have a dead on thing, but before that chasm or whatever. So yeah, and just striking restaurant there, and then there's a members bar, like, so there's a membership element to Te Arai where the members get to play. It's like a member day one day on one of the courses, and the next day it's a resort day, and they flip flop. But so the bunker bar is kind of a little bond layer for the members there. But we ate at the kind of the fine dining restaurant there, and just spectacular space looking out towards the ocean and those islands and everything. So like just what a great walk. And then now for the main event, North.
Te Arai North. I want to start by saying I have some takes on the North Course, and I
You
think it's
do.
because it's a good it's a good golf course. It's worth seeing. It is
It's
striking,
provocative.
provocative.
I think that was the brief for him, right? It was like, hey, we have this one course that you designed that obviously we don't want you to have to try to compete with that. We've got this great walk along the water that Corin Crenshaw did. We've got this inland stuff that, kind of similar to like how Corin Crenshaw got the trails course at Bandon Dunes. We're like, hey, we've got this inland stuff. It's not on the water, but there's a couple holes that are close to the water, but for the most part, you're gonna have to do something really different here.
I think the South Course got better land or better coastline. There's still very good land. I don't know. How do you want to do this? You want to go through? We went through hole by hole on the other ones. We could do that quickly.
Yeah, we might as well. Yeah, I think it plays like a different clubhouse. I think one of the first things to say is like, I think the real estate encroaches a little bit too much on the north, and that's no fault of Dokes.
Yeah.
There's some, there's cottages all down the left side of 18 that are, tastefully done. I think there's a house up the right side. It's kind of up the right side of 16 and the left side of Te Arai South 14 that's just too close to the fairway, and it's just and like that's a really good golf hole, and it's just like imposing, and it's just
Yeah.
not. And I'm sure it'll be a nice house, and it's covered up by this big thing, right? This big kind of canvas to keep keep the wind out. But yeah, it just seems like there's just a few spots where you're just encroached upon a little bit. I thought it's a really cool routing. It's pretty artfully done. I think it's one of those courses where like if you're gonna be a member there, or you're gonna play there for 5 or 6 days in a row, and you can get out there on a couple afternoons and play some different loops and stuff too. Like there's all sorts of fun shots. The greens are turned up to 1,000,000 in the best way. I thought that, for the most part, like it's really fun, and I think it's a grower, right? And I think as similar to South, but even probably more so with North, as it grows in and the native, and some of those, there's a lot of dunescapes, and there's a lot of, there's some manufactured stuff out there. As that grows in and softens it, I think it's going to be more lovable, more
Definitely
intimate.
needs to grow in. I mean, it feels like a lot of land was cleared, like wide of the fairway, in a way. And maybe I'm being unfair because the South Course has had more time to grow in, but it feels like Corin Crenshaw to me work on a smaller footprint, and Doak cleared like a ton of land, and maybe that's for development. Maybe they want to put houses there. But again, to me, that's a bit of a negative. Like those, if they're going to be that close to these fairways, I'm like, it just doesn't feel like it sits in the land as nicely for me. So first hole is a classic, as I call it, the DAP, like the awkward handshake opener from Doak of like, oh, you can really mess it up, but it's pretty easy.
Spectacular clubhouse setting, like
Yes.
cool porch there and this outdoor fireplace, and it's kind of off apart on its own from the main Te Arai setting. So really really cool there. But yeah, like you said, I think I didn't really know what to think of the first hole at first, and really even the second playing of it, but I like it. I dig it. Like
I like
it's a
number one
really
too.
offbeat opener,
And then two's a par three would remind you of the 10th at Tara Iti. It reminded me of that. A long, hard. But I feel like all the par threes out there have a similar feel.
That was
Kinda
my
in
biggest criticism.
Yeah, like
of
180 to 200 yard. Yeah, it's like it's almost like, yo, I know what you're saying. Like hit it front right. That's the play. You can run it up, but they don't really play that way. And you're kind of always playing a little up. This whole course, I felt like I was playing I never got a full look at the green on any hole. I like where I'm like, okay, this is an inviting shot to this green. It always
I think the
feels
par
like
threes you do a little bit.
yeah, but
right?
that one is like you're hitting like 5-iron in or more, and it's just like it's not. I almost feel like if you talk to Doug, you'd be like, well, the play is to get something running up the right so it'll roll on the green. I'm like, dude, that's just like a really freaking hard shot to like manufacture.
Up the
And
left to roll onto the right, to the green to the right, I think. I mean, it
feel like
plays
you
up
could
to
go
like
up the right.
242.
Anyway,
Like,
there's
this
like
is the
the
long, yeah.
the template here for the par threes is like there is some type of pop bunker, or like the green is pushed up in front and it doesn't quite play to where you can hit it short and it rolls on. And then if you carry it all the way there, you're going to go over, is how I kind of feel. I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
I'm kind of screwed either way. So again, good looking golf hole, tough par three, no problem with that. I think number 3 was an awesome golf
And
hole.
I would say on one too, like one kind of reminds me of, it's a 300-yard par 4, but like the more I play that hole, but like I'm never gonna go for that green.
Yeah, you should lay back.
And it kind of reminds me of like my favorite holes at like Barora, or like a James Braid course like Bove Garden, where like I think that's a pretty, I don't know, I think we were just trying to get off, and like I think I kind of gave that whole short shrift.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying with 2. Like there's a bunker, there's some bunkers up the right side, but really for the most part, you can kind of bail out up the left. Um, but yeah, there's just these little knobs and these little mounds where it
Yeah,
just
there's like
feels
a
like
lot of, there's almost like a lot of manufactured
yeah.
shaping that, like, if we did a little less, this would probably play like what you want it to play like. And
Or that stuff was there and they just,
well,
built
as
it
we'll
all.
get to, some stuff tells me that it wasn't there.
So
later in the course.
this gets us to, I thought the stretch from 3 through 7 was probably my favorite stretch on the course. 3
I
through
will say 3 through
9.
5 because I want to
Yeah.
talk about 6.
I
But
thought 3
3
was
and 4,
electric.
I think 3 and 4 are excellent 10 of 10s. Like, you could talk me into those in the composite. I thought they're both 3 had this awesome green where it's really long and like big mounding, and the hole plays very differently depending on where the pin is, with a really tough bunker in front. And again, if the wind's behind you, you can you drive in that front bunker, or you're going to have a long second shot into a 2-tiered green. I thought 4 was the strongest.
Wildly 2-tiered green, like to the
Yeah.
point where like you got to get your either land it short and run it on up, or get your distance control right. It was a really, it's a sub 400-yard par 4 with a really big emphasis on distance control and like hitting the right shot, or being creative in there, either executing or being creative in the right spot. Yeah. And then I thought 4 was
awesome, and a good example of what I'm talking about with getting a full look at the green on the approach. So you have to hit a good drive, avoid some bunkers off the tee, and it kind of shoots you out of these trees, and then this kind of stretch of the property, 5, 6, and 7 are all back here. And the green, if you hit a good drive, you're finally hitting down to a green. So it's like, okay. And it's a like 2-tiered green, but horizontally. So the right side is elevated, the left side, it'll run away from you. And, I probably had gap wedge or, up to 9 iron in hand. And so it's a fun shot to hit, where it's a very Jurassic green, and it's nice that you get to hit down to that. Not even, it's like down 5 yards, not like a big drop, but it's like it's all in front of me here. And I feel like that was one of the few places on the course where I felt that way, where I'm hitting an approach. I got rewarded with a full look at what I have to avoid and where I have to hit it. So I thought 4 was one of my favorite holes.
One of the best greens on the course, kind of everything feeds right to left, and it's a long hole. I mean, it's like 450 from the back resort tees, 480 from the championship tees. Like, it's one of the more demanding drives on the whole property. I think it's going to just kick the shit out of resort guests, but also like, this course from the back resort tees is 6,400 yards. From the middle tees, it's 5,900 yards. Like, distance is not necessarily the thing here, and there's a lot of places to score, but this is one where, like, I think even if you hit it up the left side in that bunker, you still have a shot at the green. It's not overly penal. So,
and then 5 plays up, kind of up the hill. It's a pretty wide tee shot, and then it's really tricky blind green, elevated green. And is there tons of room right or left? I can't remember. It's almost
there's tons of room on both sides. Like, you kind of almost want to use that left side to bank it in off of.
Yeah.
It's a bunk, there's a couple bunkers, I don't know, 40, 50 yards short of the green. They kind of sit there and mess with your eye, but really for the most part, again, it's like a 415 to 40-yard hole. But, like it sits on the land pretty nicely. You're kind of up, up to the kind of the farthest end of the property there. And then you're kind of, after this, you're kind of working your way back. So there's some nice pines in the back and stuff. I don't know. I thought this was one of the more engaging second shots on the course
I thought this was a great hole.
because you got to look at the pin and everything. Like it's not blind. You just can't see the bottom of the flagstick.
Some pretty big humps up there though, so it's hard to know where to put it to get it close.
Yeah.
And again, when it's a blind shot, sometimes I'm like, can we maybe we don't put elephants under the green. But 6, let me talk about 6. 6, first time you play it, it's like, oh my God, this is an awesome golf hole. And it is in a way, and it could be, but I feel like this is where it's a little manufactured. So it's a your elevated tee shot, you're hitting down, and then has these 2 big dunes that the green is kind of benched left in between these 2 dunes. So if you clear the front dune, most of the time, at least half of the green, you're not going to be able to see the pin, unless you play up the right side, and maybe you'll get a peek at it. But you can, there's a lot of creativity on how you bring your approach shot in there. Now, what I don't like about it is there's these 3 almost like skate park rollers in the middle of the fairway that, like, if you're going to tell me those were there, I'm going to call bullshit. And it's just unnecessary, because maybe one of those rollers or 2, but all 3, it's like, okay, let's play the argument out. Hey, if you don't want to deal with these rollers, which gives you these weird lies and stuff, then lay back. Well, the rollers start, like, if I hit 4-iron, I'm going to have to deal with them. And if I hit driver, I'm going to have to deal with them. So then it'd be like, okay, well, the rollers are kind of on the left side of the hole, so hit it up the right. Well, that I have to basically land driver in like a 10 by 10 box, or else I'm going to be in the native area up the right to get the angle. And so I'm just like, there's already a blind approach with these 2 big dunes. That's where I'm like, it's too many features. That's my biggest critique of this course. It just, like, people talk about.
So you're saying you would appreciate the second shot a lot more if the first shot felt less tricked up and you felt like you knew what the task in hand was.
Or if you move those rollers farther left, and you said, like, left half of the fairway, you deal with this. And if you want the flat lie and you want to challenge and get the angle, everyone talks about angles and modern golf architecture. There's just no angle there. It's like, we were playing, the 4th member of our group is this guy, Brandon. We spent 15 minutes on this hole discussing this. And he was like, yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. It's just like, it's already a blind approach. There's already these striking dunes. It's just too much. And it's like almost the features are there for like eye candy. I'm like, they play, I guess there's no way to avoid them is the problem I have with the strategy of the hole. And so I think the hole is so close to being like one of the best on the course, but then this is where we talked about with Tara Iti. The more I play it, the more I appreciate it. The second time around, I got like furious. I was like, no, this is Doak's minimalist. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. He's not, and then the next hole, par 3, there's, it's like a 180 shot. I mean, there's legit like hippopotamuses and elephants.
I think 6, I think part of your issue, and then like, the green's pretty turned up too. There's like,
that's what I'm saying. It's not like it's an easy, once you get to the green.
So I think there's plenty of strategy there. I think your argument is like, you as like a 2 handicap, like you're not even good enough to take advantage of the strategy to where it just starts to feel random.
I can't put driver,
right?
Like I can't drop driver into like a sandbox over here. I feel like that's the argument I would get from somebody.
So it's not the fair police. It's just, it's almost denuding you're saying it's denuding the strategy of the whole.
Yes. It's not about fairness. I can hit from the rollers, but I'm saying like, I am actively on the tee trying to figure out, like, I will hit 4-iron if you tell me that I can avoid the rollers. I can't do it with 4-iron. And then I'm hitting 4-iron into this green. I'm saying, give me an option. I'm arguing the hole is unstrategic because it's too turned up. That's my argument.
Yeah. And it just feels like you're dropping it into like this big, this big salad bowl almost up there. And
yeah, it was just like, it felt like, honestly, the course, because there's some other spots we can talk about. And this is me projecting, but it felt, comparing it to what Doak did at Tara Iti 15, 16 years ago to this, it feels like, one thing I thought about is like, it feels like he's bored. it's like, yeah, let's throw this in there. Like a lot of it's like, man, that doesn't feel like it has strategic value. It has visual value. It's different.
Yeah.
It's striking. I'm not arguing that. It's beautiful, but it's like, it's kind of like, I don't know if this has a golf purpose, or it's not giving me as a golfer. It's like, I don't think it's unfair. I just think it's like stupid is I guess my argument. And I've kind of thought about it. I've thought about this hole in number 10, or sorry, number 11, the par
He's got you
5.
thinking, you know?
Yeah, but
He's
like
got you thinking.
I'll get to, but I wonder too if Doak now he's like, you know, it feels like Doak can kind of do whatever he wants, which is great for him. And I like a lot of his golf course. I just got done talking for an hour about one that I like.
You all wound up. I love it.
But I wonder if it reminds me of these directors now, like Tarantino and Scorsese. Like they don't have edit. They have final cut of their movies. And it's like, no, I can't cut anything out of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I can't cut anything out of, Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm like, hey, Martin, I got 45 minutes of indigenous dancing and stuff from Killers of the Flower Moon. I got 45 minutes I could cut out here for you. Like, and I think about Core and Crenshaw. I almost feel like those guys maybe edit each other a little bit. And I wonder if Doak is just allowed to do whatever.
Sometimes I feel like they edit too much, and sometimes they edit a little bit too much out, and it gets a little bit.
I'm here for that argument, but I just feel like Doak's like just turning it up on this course to like, and I feel a little bit like that Pinehurst number 10, where it's like, there's just we can't call you minimalist anymore. There's nothing minimal about this course. The amount of land cleared to put these holes in, the way these greens are turned up, these humps and rollers and stuff. It's like nothing to me is screaming this was natural.
I don't know if it all was like, maybe I think a lot of the stuff was there.
I would love it if I mean, I am so not an expert on this stuff. I'm just, all I can be is an expert in what I truly was feeling. And I swear to God, I was just locked in talking about this with Brandon. I cannot believe that those rollers are natural. And to me, they have there's no way around them. So to me, that makes them like strategically, like not necessary. I don't know. It just, I hope I'm explaining that.
When you say rollers, I think it's like two craters almost in the middle of the fairway.
And that's fine. If there were two craters in the middle of the fairway as like a center line feature, that's great. But there's no way to miss them on the outer edges. Like the idea to me is like, God, I gotta have like, force me to take on the native area up the right to get the angle and avoid the craters. And I'm here for it. But that's like I remember standing there. I was like, this is like a 10-yard by 5-yard landing area, or I'm in the sand over here. So, all right, I'm all riled up. Sorry. Let's move to 7.
I think it's, and listen, I think part of the thing is like, it's a really good counterpoint to the South, right? This whole thing is like,
yeah, it is. So maybe that's some of it.
I don't know. I think you could spend a lot of rounds trying to figure this golf course out and start beating your head against the wall, but then you get a different wind. And, oh, you know what? That whole makes sense now. But I think your point on 7's a par 3, 180-ish yards, kind of going, again, same thing. Bunker, couple bunkers short. You got to kind of hit the shot on this one. There's not a lot of space to like feed it in from. And I just felt like on this course, that was like, it didn't really affect me that much, but I would think like, man, if I was a lady playing out there and I don't hit the ball very high and I'm hitting this from, granted, it's only from 110, 120 yards from the ladies' tees on this one, but more uphill from there to, a tough green. Like, I just feel like I'm getting kicked in the teeth over and over again on
nowhere
a lot of these
to miss
par
there.
threes.
Pushed up front. It feels like all these mounds are rejecting the ball, and like it was a pretty small green, and there are 3 tiers to that green, and I'm with a massive like Mariana, like mountain range, like underwater mountain range going through the middle of it. And so if you're on the wrong side of one of these humps and bumps, like you could put it over this big ridge line and you could de-green yourself. It just felt like I'm cool if we make that green like 25% bigger. I'm cool with the features, but we're hitting a 180. Like I'm hitting a 6-iron in. It's not like I'm hitting a gap wedge. So I just think it was too turned up in a small environment for that kind of par 3. But now visually striking, unique, like if I'm, and this is coming from somebody, I played a lot of these, types of courses. I'm like, man, if I was new to this, I'd be like, this is unbelievable. But the more I play it, I was like, man, this is just kind of like too much. Like and all I'm saying is like, edit the work a little bit. Take one of these humps out, soften an area where you could hardly putt up these ridges, these like front edges of these greens. I'm like, this is just really turned up. And I think it's too much. That's my take.
I think one of my criticisms is I'd be fine if there was a little bit more variety of like, I didn't feel like we got a short par three. I didn't feel like we got, I think they all went like they all kind of go north or west. Like they're all kind of the same direction too. So if you get that wind, like we got this wind and like they're all like either in or in off the left,
And that
or
was
kind
one
of
of the
coming in off
few
the left.
greens,
All
like
five of them.
where that was one of the few greens where you could see the whole green in front of you, but it's like, it doesn't really matter because like I'm trying to, these quadrants in between these humps and ridges were like, they're just small. Like I'm not really confident I can hit that with the wind howling with a 6-iron, and it's like, again, see, this is a resort course. Like it feels a little bit like
I think they're going to
duty.
do I would imagine they're going to do a third course at some point too. So I would almost wait to judge it on its merits or how it, interacts with the other ones.
I don't
once they do the
mean to
third.
be like needlessly critical. Like
No,
this is
just
I've
your
tried to think.
experience.
I wrote down like 1,000 words and I like I wrote it. I'm like, I need to get this out of myself. Like, am I being unfair here? And when you say variety too, I just felt like most of these greens you're hitting into, like, well, I don't want to skip ahead. Let's move
I
through
just
a few
felt
more
like
holes.
even on those holes there, like I felt like from 2 through 7, I felt like my 5, 6, and 7-iron were getting a freaking workout.
Yeah.
Right. And then that kind of continued at certain stretches on the back, which we'll get to as well. It's a funky routing in that like 8 takes you kind of back across the road, back to the,
Well,
towards
you
the
scale, you walk
clubhouse.
up this big hill, which I didn't love. I wish we could have. That was a long walk up that hill, but it kind of takes you to another section of the property, and 8 is a big boy hole because then you come up to the top of that hill and the wind just hits you in the face. So
you scale this big ridge line, and it's kind of feels like it kind of bleeds to the left. You get some of the ocean there in the background, and you got to hit a good drive here. It's like 375, 390 yard R4, but yeah, all about what the wind is doing. Pretty big, kind of generous green, kind of squared off. I don't know. This one didn't really stir much within me. It felt more like a connector hole.
I felt the same way.
Yeah. But
9
again,
was
like
cool,
some of
though.
that too will be like, as some of that stuff up the right grows in. 9 was cool. It felt a little bit, like you're hitting this draw. It's a par 5, 550 from the backs, probably 500 where most people are playing it from. And you're basically trying to kind of earn, you can hit it up to the top of the hill, but if you get it all the way to the top of the hill and down, you get it kind of over the road. It bounces over the road. I'm always a sucker for a road running through a golf course. You're not gonna like fly it onto the road, but you're gonna dribble it through, and then it's gonna, if it's got anything on it, it's gonna run all the way down to the bottom of this hill, and you're gonna have like 130 yards in, which
That's
is
a fun tee shot though, because you just get to absolutely send it. Like even the caddy's like, man, you really can't miss this fairway. Like it's like 100 yards wide into into the clouds over this ridge. And if you leave it up top on the ridge, if it's windy, then you have this like big 225 yard plus shot, like with a full view of, that's a very striking hole. But then if you blow it over, then you kind of are down in the low area and you can't see the green. So you're hitting which is fair on a par 5. I have no problem with that. Like you're trying to hit this green in 2.
Yeah, it's a thrilling second shot to a great green. A lot going on in this green. We had a front pin one day that was awesome. Trying to, keep it short there. But yeah, it's a fun
with a
third
cool,
shot too.
Like gnarly grass bunker along the whole back of the green, and the green runs away from you, so front to back, and That's a
Yeah,
good hole. I'm
it's
very,
cool.
very cool, very creative hole. I thought that was a fair hole.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pile on here.
So you are being the fair police.
No, fair as in like, well, I mean, I don't think I'm being the fair police. I don't mind. Well, let me think about that. What do you mean by the fair police?
Just like, oh, like I have, I want to be able to see the green. I want a
I don't
flat
want to see the green
lie.
every hole. I
Or,
just don't. I
yeah.
want more variety on that. I think
Yeah.
it feels like
I'm not
Doak
coming
likes
at
to
you too.
hide.
I'm just trying to play
Yeah,
devil's advocate.
he likes to hide the green. Nine's another or 10's an example of that. You're playing up this hill, and you can't see. You just get kind of. You never really feel like you get a chance to pin your ears back. And there's got to be like 3 or 4 holes where you can do that. Like the places where you are playing downhill to
I,
a green, it's like the green is turned up to 25.
I mean, I think that's kind of the intent of this course to kind of keep you off balance and stuff. I don't really think it's not that lovable. It's more like, hey, we're gonna make you like do stuff you're not used to doing and hit in like really stress parts of your bag that you're maybe not used to having stressed that much in the modern game. Like your
Sure.
middle to long irons and I do think like 10, you can hit it's pretty open off the tee. You can hit one hard there, and then I thought that was one of the more interesting greens up there. Like there's this little, like it kind of collects, but then if you go a little bit too far up the right and try to use that slope up the right, but miss your spot, there's this little kind of trough that's going to catch your ball and you're going to have a really, really awkward time. I don't know. I just thought like, uphill, uphill long par four, 400 and, 400 plus up to 450. And, there's trouble all up the left, but I feel like if you just kind of do the right stuff up the right, there's good stuff. But then also like there's a bunker long left that feels a little mean spirited.
Don't know
So,
it's there. Again, resort course, most people are going to play it once or twice. Just like, okay, I didn't see that. Like, no idea.
yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, not 10's like a little bit of a connector. I want to shout out the halfway house on the North Course is sweet.
Great
Great
halfway
vibe there.
house. Or it's
Great.
not really a halfway house. It's like a 60% of the way house, and then you loop back again after.
Yeah, that was a cool hangout spot. So, all right, TC, I'm just going to read you. This is what I wrote. I think maybe on the flight home about number 11, which I think most people would say like, what an awesome, striking, unbelievable golf hole. Par 5.
I liked 11. Yeah.
Straight away, it reminds me. There's a hole. I think it's 11 or 12 at Pinehurst number 10. Similar, very, very everything. It's kind of out in front of you. And I think there's some good and some bad here. And I'm just going to read this. So beautiful golf hole, but too much going on. 3 big sets of features. I love the first set of bunkers and the deception off the tee that makes the left bunker look like it's in play off the tee. So basically the fairway is like 2-tiered. And there's a big blowout bunker that cuts in on the right and the big one on the left. And they look like they're both even. But there's all this room. The fairway drops down on the left side and the ball disappears. And you think that's going to be in a bad spot, but it's actually a flat lie, a really good place to be. So you want to be up the left. And I think to Doak's credit, he does such a good job, similar to Pete Dye, in visual deception of making you think something is closer or farther than it actually is.
Like the right and the left there almost look indistinguishable. And then your caddy, and shout out to Ewan again. Ewan loves caddying over at Te Arai because he can double bag it and everything. Like, he's like, like that bunker up the left is like, it's like 320 to 340 to get in that versus the one up the right is like 265, 270.
And I just can't emphasize enough how your eyes are like, that's not true. Like they are equal. I have to hit it, between them. And it's not. You want to be up the left. So you get there. And let me find my point here. But then there's this crazy, almost mean-spirited vert ramp about 100 to 120 yards out from the green. Well, no, actually, first, that's not true. There's the first set of cut-in bunkers, and then there's
up
another
the right that are probably about 140, probably 140 to 170 yards up the right.
Your options here are like you're trying to lay up like over that second set of like cross bunkers. But then about 50 yards maybe, or maybe less after that, there is literally a wall of grass. The fairway just like goes straight up. It looks like a tidal
Short
wave that's about to
grass.
break back on you.
Yeah.
Short grass, it's fairway, but it's just like, okay, it's just like a wall, which is fine as a feature on its own. But it's like, all right, I am going to try to hit the hard shot now, which is like, I want to try to carry a 3-wood or a 7-wood up on top of this.
Yeah.
Like in my head, the course, the architect is telling me like, hey, like similar to number 4 at Tara Iti, like, hey, if you carry this pop bunker, this centerline pop bunker, you're
You
going
will
to
be
get
rewarded.
rewarded for that. So we were playing scramble,
Parents and
2-man
sticks,
scramble,
right
and
now.
Brandon hit this awesome 3-wood that just like carried over this, because it's probably like 30, 40 feet up. I mean, you start climbing up this hill and it's just like a wall, and he carried the wall. And we're like, hell yeah. Like, great shot, man. We get up there and you get no payoff because then you have like a 110-yard wedge and you still can't see the fucking green. I can't
Well, no,
see.
the payoff is not having to hit 140 or 150-yard shot into that green. It's
Which I guess is totally blind, but I'm like, I just feel like it was 3 big ass features, 2 of which were deeply unnatural, and this wall of fairway that's like
I don't
cool
know, man.
concept. It's cool concept, but I just was like, if I carry this wall, and I'm just thinking about, I'm thinking about resort golfers just straight up hitting it into this wall and just getting inspected and rejected. And then there's you fall off right is a big fall off, and then the green is, kind
It's
of
really wide. I mean, it's 550-yard hole, pretty much any way you slice it, uphill, but it's really wide. Like you can wail on like a driver off the deck or a 3-wood, but like you gotta earn it, man. I don't know. I didn't mind it, and then but also like it's a more turned up green if you're hitting wedge in than if you're hitting like 7-iron in. Like there's plenty of room to just cozy one up there close to the green on the left if you're coming in with a longer club. There's no bunkers around the green. It's definitely table topped.
yeah.
It's a pretty demanding shot with a wedge of like, you can one hop it over the back or you can spin it off the front. I mean,
I guess I'm just looking for a little bit more strategy of like, hey, if I get up on top of this wall up the left, I'm not saying like just give me the keys to the castle if I clear this vert ramp, but like just a little bit of like 3
yeah,
massive, like some of the biggest features on the course back to back to back. It's like I just went through this gauntlet and it's like, okay, cool. I
it's
still
a
can't see
lot.
the green.
It's
I
throwing a
still
lot
don't
at you.
know how far back that pin is. Blah, blah, blah. Like if I don't have a caddy, I just feel like I'm playing uphill over some of the biggest features on the property. And I'm not getting like any strategic payoff for like
I'd
hitting
be
the hard shots.
curious. I don't know. I'd be curious. It's really wide. I think there's more strategy. Like, let's say you drive up the left and then you go up the right to kind of avoid that thing, and you've got a flatter lie, and then long left, there's another like little ridge that you can take it off of. That's kind of the one thing that's helping you out up on that green. I don't know. I think it's a hole that I I think I need to play it 4 or 5 more times.
I would say visually, again, looks awesome, very unique. Never seen anything like this wall, just this like Berlin wall of grass in the middle of a fairway. To like very creative. I just again think there needs to be some editing. We need to cut out the indigenous dance scene. As like it's just I don't need it. I just need less because I like all the features on their own, but like
Which
3
be careful
sets
of
of
saying
them.
that on a New Zealand pod too, because they're
That was
Maori
in reference to Martin Scorsese
uh,
and Killers of the
dance
Flower
scenes are
Moon, not
their skins are awesome. Yeah.
not the. No offense to any indigenous people anywhere in the world. I was talking about
I'm
cutting
just looking out for you.
scenes from a movie. Anyway, that's my. I am open to
Yeah.
changing my mind on this. I just found it to be, again, my argument is just it's too much. And then listen, 12, it's another one of these par 3s, long, 200-yard shot.
180, 200 yards.
And it's like, oh, yeah, the play looks like it's play it to the left kicker in the front left of the green. But, there's a pot bunker in the front. It just kind of looks the same as number 2 to me, almost like mirror image. And I just,
it like just falls off like way down that right side.
and the
and
wind's
you're
whipping.
boned.
And it's just like, I don't know if I'm hitting 4-iron, on a line to like, again, it just like the kickers, the features that are helping you are they almost always feel very small. and the features that are hurting you always feel like they're very big. And that doesn't seem to be the case with Core and Crenshaw. And so I'd love to just see a little bit more balance there. And then 13 TC I thought was just outrageously hard. And maybe
13 is maybe the best driving hole in the course. I'm like, you're playing over this.
Oh my
Hog's
God. I don't know,
back.
man.
It was an awesome driving hole. Like, you got to take it a little farther left.
Can't hit taking driver out of your hands.
Comfortable with. And you're not taking you're not necessarily. I think 3 would definitely.
All the caddies were like, no, don't hit driver here. Every one of them told me that.
Definitely narrows up a bunch. It's like a 450 yard par 4, and see, gorgeous driving hole. You hit it over this beautiful ridge line, and then and then you get down there and you're staring straight up at this fucking green. So like, we're like, man, like, what's up there? And he's like, honestly, man, not a whole lot. Like, it falls off like 50 feet down the left side. There's, all this sandy area up the right side. There's all this room long right, but it's kind of disconnected from the rest of the green. Where you still have to, like, if you bail out, then you got to hit a really good wedge or like a really good chip or putt from up there. Really long, shallow green. So we had a pin on the front side of front edge of this green the first day, and I remember having 8-iron, 9-iron in, and just being like, maybe longer than that, and like, I wanted to walk off the golf course. I was like, I just hit like as close to good on that shot as I can, and rolled 50 feet, 50 yards down the hill to the left. I ended up making 6 or 7, and I'm like, and then the next day the pin's more in the middle, and I ended up I'm like, all right, I saw how deep this green is. It's probably 50 yards long. I'm going to take my medicine, and I'm just going to go to the back of this green, no matter where the pin is, every time I play this green moving forward. And that was the play. And then it's a difficult 2-putt to regardless of where the pin is, and you can bail out. But that's another one where I'm like, man, if I'm like, there's some interesting stuff here where like on 12, the ladies' tee is 440. The next tee is 540.
Yeah. On 13, you mean?
No, or sorry, on 11.
11.
On 13, the ladies' tee is 300. The next closest tee is
the forward tee, TC.
The forward tee. The next closest tee is 436.
All right, I'm gonna read you my write up.
Where it's just one of those things where it's like, even if you're late, like, I just don't know how you're hitting the ball.
100%. Okay, 13. Blind tee shot that takes driver out of your hands. Then you are asked to hit a 175 to 210 shot to an elevated green with no clue where the flag is. Yes, the green is massive and there's room to miss long right, but that's a big ask from that distance. And if you don't clear the right side where the safe haven is, it's like the worst bunker on the golf course. And then, if you miss, you bail front, like just off the green front left, the ball gets rejected 50 yards away.
It was sadistic. Like, truly.
I mean, it's so hard. It's unreal. And so, like, visually, great looking golf hole. Like you said, beautiful driving hole, just so hard. And like, maybe we could just soften, like, give me just a little bit more. Like,
I don't think I've ever been so pissed after playing a hole for the first time and then being like, and you know what though? I'm dying to go back and hit that shot again.
I know. And that one I have less issue with 13 because there's clear strategy to it. And like, but it's just like I think it's like Doak assuming everybody's better at golf than they are. I'm like, man, this is
we're like 96% of the people playing this. Like I'm a 1 or 2 handicap on my average day or a bad day. I'm getting my dick knocked in.
Yeah.
What do you think of 14? Par 5, another par 5.
I liked 14. I thought that was a creative golf hole. I thought that was good.
Yeah, it's like a 500 and 500 to 540-ish par 5 uphill. Really cool second shot. Like, you're just trying to hit a drive as far as you can. There's some visual deception going on, but for the most part, like, you're not going to get into that bunker.
Shot, plenty of room to carry it. You just got to clear this bunker, and then it'll run for you. Like, that's where it's like, okay, I feel like this, what I'm being asked to
The
do
wall
will,
of grass that you're trying to
yeah.
cover, as long as you cover that, cool, it is going to feed you right into that green.
And
Yeah.
a fun reveal when you get up there. A lot going on in that
Yeah.
green, though. Maybe we could pull back a couple of those bumps,
It's
but
cool. You
that's
sound
okay.
like
That's
the
okay.
private equity guy on
Yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty decent. Pretty decent. You know, yeah. We could, it's turned up.
John
It's really turned up.
Johnny Hilbrand. Yeah, and like there's another ridge that's helping you out up that right side too. That's a cool hole. I enjoyed that one. I loved 15. It's a tribute to the Eden hole at St. Andrews. You've got the two bunkers. You got the big bunker up the left with the Strat, and you got the Eden bunker. And I don't know, it's just a really
And the grass bunker behind the green is very cool there.
yeah. But
But big,
I
big
think another one
shot.
like
Hard
100
to hit.
170 to 180 yards. Feels flat, probably a little bit uphill, and
No, it's
firm
definitely a
green.
little bit uphill. The green, you still can't really see the whole green there. And I'm like, can we just get
Yeah,
a
it's the
little
best.
bit better look?
It's the best rendition of the Eden hole I've ever seen anywhere outside of St. Andrews. But
No
it's
argument with
another one
that.
where like, forward tees are 107, next tees are 155.
Yeah.
It's kind of a theme. And then you go back through the little halfway house there, and then you cross over the road again. And 16, I thought 16, we kind of had two different winds. Played it into the wind and just, felt like I had like a wedge in, like a full wedge in. And then we had a back left pin. And the second day you could kind of send it and, try to really, like, I think I putted it from like 50 yards short and got it in. It's a little bit like this hole at Ohoopee, the A hole at Ohoopee. It's like this like old speedway, and you got to like use the banks to get it back in this little nook. I thought 16 was like one of the cooler holes there on
Good
South
hole.
or North.
Pretty simple hole. Like
And kind of a grower. Yeah, it's like 315. You play at 280 if you
but the
wanted.
green's cool how it L shapes back around that dune is that's fun.
And then, 17, slightly downhill, par 3, my shortest one on the course, 150 to 165. We were playing it just ripping, wind is ripping in. You got to get it on the green, otherwise it'll fall off that front edge.
Yeah, it's just a lot of
can't really run it up.
A lot of danger there. I almost look at that hole compared to 17 on South, and I'd play
or
the 17
or
on
5
South.
on South, even too, right?
Yeah, and I would take both of those holes over this one, like
yeah, I agree.
10 times out of 10. I just think they're more fun and like just as challenging, but like not like overly. I don't know. It just feels like you have a chance on 17 on the North. I was like, I don't even really have a chance here.
And then 18 is like, you can play it as a par 5, 538 from the backs, or you can play it as like a long, kind of a half hole, long 4. It's big dog leg right.
Loved this hole. I thought
Really
this was one of the
hole.
stronger ones. All down the coastline. You mentioned, they have some houses, but that doesn't take anything
Those
away from it.
cottages are well done up the left.
Awesome. Like it's kind of like with the caddy, like picking your target off that tee is everything. And then if you can get it up the left, the green sits like back, like in these dunes underneath the clubhouse. And I don't know, that was a good one. That was a really really fun finish. I think I like that 18th hole more than the South hole, the South course's 18th hole. Both are good, but I thought that one was more challenging and more thrilling.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things too. I think one of the other things that probably hindered North a little bit, A, it's newer, B, I think we played it in worse conditions. It was cloudier.
Maybe. It was windy. It was really windy on the South course, though. I don't know.
But we got some
pretty
sunshine
strong
and
about
all of that.
I've done a lot of thinking about
I think
this.
I felt like I was just hitting a lot of uphill 5, 6, 7 irons all day.
Yes, and I just got a little tired of it, and I'm okay with challenging. I just I
think if the par 3
I guess my biggest
fun.
If I just sum it up, my biggest complaint is like if it's frustrating to me when I see these holes where I'm like, if you just do a little less, the hole would be awesome. Instead of some courses, you're like, oh, this has nothing going on. Like it's like Doak had some brilliant, unique awesome, vivid features out there. I just think there's like one or two too many on every hole. And that's where that's my critique of it.
Yeah. I guess he would say to you, like, all right, well, like, what about Scottish golf, where there's just all sorts of shit going on every fairway, and it's not a flat lie on the whole old course or
I
North
would
Carrick.
say the elevation of that course is not even in the
Yeah.
same universe. Like all of those Scottish courses are dead flat. So that's
Yeah.
where I'm cool with the humps and bumps. But we're talking about like number 9, number 8, number 16. They're like, we're talking 50 to 100 feet ridges that we're going over. Like we're talking dunes that are 25 feet high, hiding greens. Like it's just all the land is already turned up. And so I feel like he manufactured even more volume, and I'm starting to get some static in my headphones. You know what I mean?
I like that. I mean, it's provocative. It gets the people going. It got
All
us
right,
going.
quickly,
Yeah.
so that I stay married.
Yeah.
Give me your composite routing of the 3.
I've got one at Tara Iti. That one's followed closely by North, and then South is good too. But yeah, one. I have 2 at South.
For sure.
I've got 3 at Tara Iti,
You
followed
can
by
talk me into
North.
you can talk me into 3 at North,
Yeah.
but no problem with 3 at Tara Iti.
I've got 4 at Tara Iti, and then it's a tie between North and South. I think those are all great holes.
Yeah,
I think North probably a little bit stronger than South even.
I was gonna say North would. Man, that's a tough. North and Tara Iti's a neck and neck.
Yeah. 5 at Tara Iti, no brainer. All good holes though.
Yeah, I mean the South par 3 on the South is good, but 5's
yeah,
like
it's a little
my
bit of
favorite
cotton
hole
candy though.
in
Like 5
New
on
Zealand.
Yeah, 5 on North, or 5 on Tara Iti, 6 on Tara Iti. I don't love either North or South.
6. Oh yeah, I guess I. What if I go and say 6 North after I spent 20 minutes?
I mean, 6 North. 6 North's a great. It's a cool hole. I think 6. Yeah, that would probably be my second place. 7 Tara Iti. It's one of the best holes on earth.
Yeah,
South
hard
is
to
good.
argue.
North is fine. 8 on Tara Iti. Love that hole. Say 8
I
on
might
South.
push back on that one. I think South, that par 5 is really, or no, that was the par 3. Sorry, so that would be 7. And then 8 North is over the I guess it is Tara Iti then.
Yeah. 9, I would say Tara Iti. South has grown on me. North is fun, but I'm not sure it's a great hole.
I'd say North, just for
Okay.
I thought it was very unique, and I thought just straight up that was a fun golf hole. I'm going with the fun one.
Yeah. 10 South. Love that hole.
Yeah, easy answer on that
Yeah.
one.
It's probably the weakest set of holes, like number wise, across
All 3
across
courses. Yeah, the
across
par
all 3
3 at Tara
courses.
Iti is not
Yeah.
my favorite, and the
Yeah.
what's 10 at North is up the hill. Yeah, no thanks.
11 Tara Iti, par 5.
Wow, so you're not going with 11 at North?
No, I mean, I said it was a cool hole. I don't think it's not like my favorite. Like 11's like one of my favorite par 5s on earth. So, I would say South. I like South, the par 4 out to the ocean better than.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's in the running for me.
12 Tara Iti, followed by it's a tie between the 2 par 3s for me. I think 12 grows on me each time at Tara Iti though.
Okay.
It's a really fun hole to play from the up tees too. To play it was like a short 4. Like we didn't get a lot of variety in the hole locations there either. You get like a front left hole location or a back left. It's dope. 13, I went south. So
Definitely
13,
South. The par 5 up the hill.
par 5, yeah. And then I went Tara Iti, and then I went north just because that green was just insane on north. 14 south. I think you would definitely go Tara Iti.
I think I would go Tara Iti here. Yeah, but 14 on the south
a better
course was good.
hole. But 13 or 14 on south is really fun. 14 on north is good too. Like those are all 3 good holes. 15, I went Tara Iti, and then I went north, and then south. Again, all 3 good golf holes. But I think
those are 2 good par 3s to go against each other. Tara Iti, north, and
yeah. And then 16, I went north.
Wow.
I really like 16 on the north, and then I went Tara Iti, and then I went 16 on south. All three are kind of fun offbeat holes though, like weird kind of par
Yeah,
fours.
they are.
17, I went south.
South for me,
Uh,
for sure.
yeah, and then I went Tara Iti,
All
and
three
then
par
north.
threes too. So that's like
Yeah,
all three of them like postcard par threes, but I think the South course has the best one.
and then 18, I went south, north, Tara Iti.
I would flip it and say north, south, Tara Iti, but
Okay,
you could talk me into South being the winner there.
yeah. Uh, Granted, I haven't added up like what the part of this is or kind of that sort of thing, but yeah. So I think we're fishing in the same ponds. What's your split? All right, two splits. What's your split between all three courses if you had 10 rounds?
Oh man, I'd say kind of what we did, like 6-2-2 is pretty good. You could talk me into like 5-3 south, 2 north. You could talk me into 1 north. I definitely want to play north again. If I went back down there, I by no means I'm like I don't ever want to play that course again, but I would want to spend my time. I find it more enjoyable to play the other two.
We'll go
So
down there and do Taurus sauce at some point or some video series. And I'm fascinated to see you go back there when it's more grown in and, with kind of experience in your back pocket. Because I think it would be a grower for you.
well,
I think I'm either, depending upon the day, I'm either like 8-1-1 or like 7-2-1.
yeah, I can't argue with that. I mean, Tara Iti's really good, but these other two are like, I mean, I love
They're
that
pretty,
you can
yeah.
play 3 of them, and
Yeah.
that's makes it like even more worth the trip down there. So anyway,
And then what's your split between the two, south and north?
I
10 rounds.
8, I would say 7-3 south to north.
Yeah. I think I'm
But I'm not
probably,
like I'd be
eh,
happy to play them 5-5. You could talk me to just going just back and forth
yeah.
because they are so different that it's like I don't just want to play one of them.
Like
Um,
playing one makes you appreciate the other one more. Makes you want to go
Definitely, and
play
so I
that.
think that's a
Yeah.
good job by them of
Yeah.
creating some variety. So
Yeah. And then again, I want to apologize to the Auckland airport. I thought we had a great experience there. They had wonderful, all sorts of different Asian food stands in there. You had kind of a tough leg back on the way back on Air New
well,
Zealand
yeah, we had to hit the Air New Zealand flight.
because off season they only
Yeah, they
fly.
don't.
United only flies down like
Apparently, there is an
3 times
Auckland
a
New
week.
York flight, but I don't think I think it's certain days of the week. So we were coming back. I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday. Anyway, booked this flight thinking like, oh, I can then go back. Like you can book it through United, but to like pick your seat, you got to go to Air New Zealand's website. I must have booked, which I never do. I must have booked basic economy, and my goal was to then go to Air New Zealand and like upgrade because I basically like used points on the United side, and I was going to go pay for the upgrade or something. And I go over the Air New Zealand side, and they're like, absolutely not, man. You cannot upgrade out of this fare class. And I was like, okay. And then it's like, you have to call this number, and I'm lazy, so I didn't call it. And so it turns out I'm in like seat 46E or F, which is like it's a 343 747. And
You're
meanwhile,
777. Yeah.
TC's up in like
I was in 1K.
he has
It
on
was
like
one of the ones they're
cubicle.
leasing from Cathay Pacific, and they had like four or eight like first class little suites. And so for like a
TC's in an
nominal,
apartment up front, and I'm in a middle seat, like on a 4-row middle section.
and this was to Houston. And then
I would say
but
one
I
tip to
did get,
people is, and it was fine. Like it's 13 and a half hours. Like, yeah, I slept a little bit. I watched some bad movies. I watched Uncut Gems, which was very stressful.
I watched
Which was,
Conclave.
yeah. So still fine flight, but I wish I would have brought compression like leggings. Like I mean, talk about being old. Like my feet swelled up like balloons. Like I couldn't even put my shoes on because like sleeping with my feet below my like, so it was just not good. But made the connection. All the bags made it from Houston up to Newark, and a really smooth travel on both ends.
being able to fly into Houston is a game changer for me, except for I missed my connection because we were a little bit late, and I did spend the night in Houston. And man, I thought the people mover thing at Newark was outdated. Have you ever been in the basement of the Houston airport?
No.
They got the weirdest thing. It makes the little train thing at Newark look like the Jetsons, look like the future. I mean, it's crazy how outdated this thing is. I stayed at the airport Marriott there, bleak scenes. Wouldn't recommend it. So anyway, but it's nice on the way back. You take off from Auckland. What time do we take off?
Like
7,
8 p.m. maybe.
8 p.m. You land back in. We landed in Houston at what, 4 p.m.
A little earlier, probably like 2
Yeah.
p.m.
So like you get a whole day back. Like if you're going to the West Coast, you can.
Yeah, and then I got back to New York around like 8 p.m. and then
We
I
played-
just like
we-
right to bed. And
We
you're
played
like,
golf that morning. Like
yeah.
So yeah, you just get like a 40-hour day. So
All right, geez, good stuff. TC,
Love it.
Thanks for setting up the trip. Thank you to our hosts.
yes,
And our caddies, and for people listening, we're 2 hours and 33 minutes in. If you're still listening, we deeply appreciate it.
just love Kiwis, love Aussies, love that part of the world. It's the best.
Yeah. All right. Smell ya.
Crap on.